everybody. Welcome to the Comic Clowns Podcast. This is Bruce Warchief Hoover.
And Chris D. Forcer Vasquez.
And welcome you all back in for another rousing edition of Podcast Talk. And I guess at this point, we're just going to have some fun here. With me today, I got Chris Danielson.
Hello.
And Andrew Bully Bullheimer.
How you doing?
I'm going to go with that, by the way.
Whatever.
And Don
Bully.
Cronus Macaluso.
It's close enough.
Wait,
I
what?
know it is.
What was that?
It was.
It's Canis, but yeah.
Oh, Wisconsin. I thought there was an R there. My apology.
No, it's happened.
My
No, I
bad.
was talking about the last name, not that.
Macaluso.
Hey, he's Italian as fuck.
Yeah, Macaluso.
This
I'm
man
not
bleeds marinara sauce.
How's the
Maca-
voice
what-
sound?
Say that again,
Everything
Macaluso?
sounds good.
Mucus?
As Chris has a slight heart attack over name enunciation at this
sorry.
point.
I never knew it.
Sorry, most people can't pronounce it. It's exactly how it looks, and everyone gets it wrong.
Okay.
Awesome. This time around, if you guys have not didn't catch our last podcast, we talked about how gaming was under attack. That was 2 weeks ago. Once again, you can find that on Podbean by searching our name, and you can also find us on iTunes and Google Play. So go ahead and search for us. Listen to us. Like I know a lot of people have so far, and it's been a really good time.
Not
Share
as bad
your
as we sound.
share your opinions on what's going on here. As you know, the protocol for this podcast is we start out really serious and we just start talking, and then alcohol kicks in, and it's a fantastic time after that. So for the first hour is incredibly fun. So if any sponsorships, people looking for sponsorships for alcohol, we will drink your alcohol through this cast.
Without question.
We are little whores like that.
I'd like to give a shout out to
Ryan
Season
Reynolds
Jane.
looking at
They pay
you.
me, and they
Haven't
drink
tried the
it,
gin
and they
yet,
pay me
so-
for it.
half Thor Bjornsson, and I like some of that vodka.
There we go.
If you're all listening, that'd be fun.
Everyone
So.
loves his vodka.
So honestly, this is probably. We're next week. We'll be talking boys in MCU. I wanted to talk that at some point, and also the DC releases. That'll be next week. This week has been a cast that a lot of people. Chris has been wanting for years. That honestly, he's brought up to me several times and hasn't been done yet. One that Tyler Winter was supposed to be here for, but he could not unfortunately make it. Oh well. And one that Bird is sitting here going, I have two things to add to this whole conversation. Maybe.
I'm sure he's got more than two.
I've got a couple things I get to add here. Giant fucking robots. And now I had one person bring that up to me for 2 seconds. He's like, okay, do you mean like really big robots, or do you mean robots having sex? Because I was really confused on your terminology there. I'm like, it's about where you put the comma.
Right.
So, let me go around the table really quick. And I'll start with Bullheimer on this one because he's here. What intrigues you about giant robots in general?
All right, so I actually discovered anime, like most people of my age bracket, on Toonami, and I had always enjoyed mechanical things. Anyone who knows me knows I have too many of said mechanical things. But you see giant robots beating the living piss out of each other and like blowing holes in fucking orbiting colonies, you get intrigued. And for me, the initial one was watching Gundam Wing. And then at about the same time I saw that, you had the original Metal Gear Solid coming out, like Zone of the Enders. And then you just fall down the rabbit hole.
Armored Core for me.
Yeah.
When it came to the video game
Yeah.
genre. Chris, what about you? I've seen your diverse collection of... your diverse collection. We're just going to stop there.
Of robots, of fighting robots, not what you
Not
think.
fucking robots.
Right.
I know what I said. So, yes to
I
both
must
of
now
those
find
things.
fucking robots.
Really? Because I was going to say, for robots, I've seen your other collection, and robot titties are not one of those that are on there.
Hey, give me time. I'll find
I know. Now that Bullheimer has opened you to the new genre. And Sonny is like, Hentai King, I have this taken care of. Here you go, guys.
it.
Go.
Of course.
Go on. So what was it for you?
Power Rangers.
Oh.
It's a good one.
The Megazord.
Yeah.
That, for me, that at my age, that's what got me into the big robot. Like, they are in a big robot. I must own this. I want to be part of that.
Yeah, you knew in any episode of Power Rangers when the Zords came out, shit was going down.
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on. That's not even true for any of us. It wasn't even the fantasy of robots. It was the fantasy of having 4 consistent friends.
Gundam Wing.
No.
Oh, come on.
It was me wanting to be in that
Yes.
robot.
It was a joke. Because trust me, Gundam Wing is more towards it right there. It's for
It's 4 people, 5 people who are like, we don't really like each other, but we have a similar goal right now, so.
I prefer the Shuffle Alliance.
This is the Shuffle Alliance. Oh, come on. What about G Gundam? Come on.
Yeah.
That was the good one right there. It's what we're trying to lean towards now, where if you never saw G Gundam, you instead of like pressing on controllers, you jumped into the robot, you got a spandex suit like a morphing ranger, and you controlled the actual punches on
Yeah,
everything that was
your
going
actual
on.
movements were the robot's movements.
And God, it irritated me seeing the American one in a lumberjack freaking outfit.
No, that was Canadian.
Oh, that was the Canadian one. That was it.
He was
Yes, okay.
Canadian.
That was okay. That one made more sense then.
Did it just squirt maple syrup? I only watched 4 episodes of G Gundam. As much as I love most of the Gundam line, I was never a big fan, honestly, because we got a terrible, terrible dub of G Gundam.
Yeah, we really did, and that would hurt it so bad.
This hand of mine with the Spock.
And when your finishing move is Burning Finger, you might want to go see a specialist about that.
Oh, it gets better. It later becomes Erupting Burning Fingers.
Oh, dear Lord, you might not need to go to the ER right now.
Right.
But that was the English dub. In the Japanese actual version, it's God Fingers.
Oh, all right.
Erupting God Fingers.
I know they trimmed out a lot of like the Devil Gundam stuff in there
Yeah.
because of, oh my god, the U.S. hates the Devils, by the way.
Oh no, they hated it in religious talks because the Gundams were known as God Gundam and Devil Gundam. That's why they changed it to Burning and Dark.
Yeah. God, we get so much fucking bullshit in this country.
No kidding.
What about you, Bird? Which one's got you hooked? Or interested? You're not exactly hooked.
I'm not exactly interested.
That's where we go.
That was fair. That's fair.
You know
I
what?
mean,
Eat chicken.
my first, I guess, my first experience with giant robots, it was the Zoids Game Boy game,
Ooh, Zoids.
There we go.
There's a classic.
Yeah.
which I really liked that, and then I later found out that that's basically I didn't know the RPG genre was a thing until much later on in my life, so it's kind of just this cut and paste same thing as every other one, but that's my first experience with them, and it just seemed neat, the concept of having a giant robot animal that you pilot and shoot things.
Sounds like Power Rangers.
Sounds like Pokemon, but like more deadly.
Kind of. You assemble a team and you build your own Zoids, and then you can assign which pilots you have in them, and that changes how well they fight depending on which pilot you put in them.
So Power Rangers.
I've never watched that much Power Rangers. The last thing I remember from Power Rangers was Purple Goo.
Ivan Ooze.
The movie. I mean, we can't forget about the real OG, which is Voltron.
Oh yeah.
But if we
Voltron.
want to go farther back, we got to go to Robotech.
Yes.
And,
Haven't seen either.
and if we want to go farther back, we got to go to Gundam, like where it started it all.
Gundam is actually the originator.
Yes.
I believe it is, 40th anniversary this year?
Yes.
My favorite though with Robotech was, if you've never seen Robotech, Robotech was like, how can we take like 3 things that everyone loves and just mix them into one? Which was one, a robot that was a giant robot mech that could turn into a plane. Now, how can we make it awkward? We make it have a half form. So the half form was a half plane with arms and legs with a gun in its hand.
Sounds like a transformer.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Which it was, and then it turned into the tall mech, and I sat there and I'm like, I don't understand like the half form. It just got to freak you out at that point, right?
Right.
So it went from mobile suit to mobile armor.
So Chris, I asked everyone to come up with what was their favorite things, and like, what was their favorite like giant anime or video game or show, and just give us a quick rundown about why you liked it, and give us a quick like backstory on the actual robots themselves. And everyone did such a great job. And Don has colored in flashcards. Chris has the comprehensive guide to the time of Gundam.
Oh yes, the Gundam Metaverse.
The metaverse, which is a word.
It's almost as complicated as a comic universe.
Right.
It gets weird.
This is actually more linear than a comic universe.
It gets a little weird.
Well, are we talking pre or post 52?
You lost me there.
And then I know I want to talk on Big O, aka the anime Batman.
With the greatest butler ever.
It's a really good Alfred.
It's the best version of Alfred.
Oh yeah, well, and
Give
Alfred.
him a motorcycle and a rocket launcher.
I thought the Mecha
Alfred.
Maid was pretty cool.
The Mecha Maid was good. Of course you did. You don't make
There's his robot titties.
Spaceballs?
Huh?
And then Bird here was going to teach me about Gurren Lagann that I've never heard about.
Gurren Lagann.
That's what I said. He's going to explain that to me whenever he feels it's necessary or what he can and cannot remember.
I mean, I remember most of it.
Oh, well, then we are in good shape. Because I'm going to let the people with the flashcards go first so the people who don't have them can keep drinking. And then when they get time to ramble it off, it gets really funny. So I will start with Digital Cocoa Incorporated CEO.
Mr.
Don.
Rambling Man
Contact
himself.
him for all your printing needs, and now offering T-shirts.
Shilling? We're shilling now?
Yeah. Yeah, you guys all laugh. I gotta cut him a royalty check for that. Thanks.
It's my cast. Where's my royalty check?
When we get it, you'll get it.
Yeah.
So
It's
a
a big
hat?
if. You'll be waiting for a while.
A hat, maybe?
All right, so one that I spent a lot of time being engaged with, a universe with giant fighting robots. One of my favorites as a kid was the BattleTech / Mech Warrior series, and that's what I've got right here. Some pictures of some of my favorites, some of their armaments. I figured if this devolved into a battle of who's the strongest, well, we got to play some top trumps, right? You got to come back with who's going to win in the fight, and if we're going to talk about
So
that,
far, I'm going to place my money on Voltron in the end.
oh, it's very possible. We're with the BattleTech universe, we're kind of grounding in a little bit of reality as much as you can with giant robots.
Oh.
But
Who uses reality?
that was one of my favorites, and of course, there's the iconic top of the list here, the Timber Wolf, also known as the Mad Cat. Very versatile fighting machine. Standoff range. It's got medium engagement. It's got short range defenses. All around badass machine ready for combat. Definitely takes the cake as one of my favorites, and an iconic robot shape from my childhood. Every time I see that, I can recognize it instantly. It's just really cool looking.
Looks like an assault chopper with legs.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah. Well, it's got a little bit of everything on it. Just like say an Apache helicopter or something. You got your long range, your short range, maybe a couple of bombs on there. You got your main gun. It's a flying tank. and so too the Timberwolf is a giant walking mass of destruction. Ready to bring the pain to all those filthy clans out there.
I prefer where Bird just went. Keep going.
Sounds like he's making a drink.
That makes sense. What about you? What else you got?
Well, I've got 8 different. If you want me to go through 8 different.
How about quick synapses of all
mechs
8?
we got here. A number of them ranging. Some of my other favorites, the Dire Wolf, giant, massive assault mech with basically, again, everything to do some serious pain. Big, heavy weapons, long range lasers, medium range lasers, auto cannons, missiles. I mean, this thing packs it all. Going through real quick, we've got the Bushwhacker. Another favorite, I know.
Sounds like a wrestler.
Dirty
He was a
sounding name,
wrestler.
it's great. It's a little on the smaller side, but hey, sometimes small is okay. Never mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Napoleon
Short-
syndrome over here.
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling it?
Here's another great one. What do you think? What do you think of that baby right there? The Atlas.
It's got a face that looks like death, so I'm on board.
Yeah.
Gladiator.
The Atlas was designed in that universe to just be massive and intimidating and hopefully scare off.
Reminds me of that
opponents.
2-man army game because of that face mask they had.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Let's see what else we got next here. Summoner, also known as Thor. packing some massive cannons on that baby.
But does it
But
shoot
no
lightning?
hammer.
No hammer, unfortunately. Well, I didn't give it the nickname.
Does it at
for
least have a static discharge?
No, it's just got a massive auto can. Well, it's got the ERPPC cannon. That's kind of the same. It's a kinetic / energy weapon.
All right,
Like
Drunk and fight giants.
I'll give it that.
does it what?
Get drunk and fight giants.
Presumably you could. Yeah, sure. I'm not gonna stop a mech pilot from having a few before going into battle. I wouldn't blame them one bit.
This is the man we need in command of this type of organization. You want to get in there, Slosh? By all means, you're gonna fuck some shit up. Just remember, the
Listen,
battlefield is that way.
If it's gonna remove a little bit of fear and you're gonna fight better because of it, yeah, why not? Go nuts. But take one of the less expensive mechs. Maybe we leave you out of the summoner and we put you in the Kit Fox. Nice little lightweight, little in and out quick type of fighter because you gotta have one of those going with you. Need your artillery guy, the catapult. Stand up there with your rocket artillery and just level a battlefield from as far back as you can possibly get.
Heavy arms.
Gun tank.
Well, if you like heavy, then we go with the Thanatos, because, I mean, come on, the size of that gun right there. Again, going back to the autocannons, this is another heavy fighter.
God of Death reference right there.
Yeah, this thing, I mean, I'm no joke. This thing is equipped with a lot. It's got lasers, both regular and pulse. It's got missiles, and it also has anti-electronic warfare systems in it. So it's not going to sit there and get radar jammed or anything like that. And it's got the C3 system built into it, which links to other C3 mechs and ground vehicles to share lock-on and targeting information. So you get a nice scout up ahead of you. You get this thing behind a hill, lock on with the long-range missiles thanks to a little scout unit, and just rain hell upon your enemies. So when you've got a group of these things all sharing targeting information, you are not escaping the range of those weapons. They are going to lock onto you with 10 different guys and absolutely destroy you from a standoff distance. And if you get too close, well, then the lasers got you. So some devastating units there. And I love the versatility, and that's what attracted me to the BattleTech MechWarrior universe. There is a little something for everybody. Whatever type of fighting you like to do, they've got a mech for it.
I know everyone's like sitting here watching me do a lot of clicking on the keyboard, and you guys can't see it on the podcast, but like I'm watching my bit rate drop to like 300 and then spike to 12,000, and I'm like, wonder why it's doing that. Right. So I'm trying to make sure I'm not losing any of this information on Twitch while we're talking, because if you're listening to this on the podcast, you're gonna hear Don like, this is the Thanatos. Right. It's gonna get really funny. At least on my end, it's gonna be hilarious. So that was a very this is like why we bring Don in here. I want to see him like do that like whole spiel again drunk though. This is the shit.
And
Like the Thanatos.
And this
He's
is
the
me
Reaper.
just picking like my favorites. This isn't even scratching the surface at the number of mechs, or even going into some of the other robot-based fighting movies, TV, and video game series that I'm a fan of. So.
Hello, viewers on Twitch. So I guess the question then goes to, did you watch the giant robot battle between America and Japan?
I watched the lead-up, and I haven't seen the battle yet. I got a little disappointed when I heard they were taking the pilots out of the robots.
We all were, but there was a lot of possible death in that.
Yeah, and
You know,
that's
nut
what
up or
makes it
shut up.
fun,
You
right?
sign a waiver.
Exactly.
Sign away. You sign away.
You sign a waiver, you're next to
You sign a waiver.
Right.
I agree with his opinion. Get your ass in there and go for it.
Well,
The whole
it
point
was,
of a mech battle.
but I'm looking at these mechs, and I watched you. I mean, I eyed over. I was watching you on the screen. Like these seem like plausibly the closest to what we currently have. They're just on a more grandiose scale.
Yeah, we're talking things that I think clock in about 50 feet tall.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if you look at the models we had in that battle, which we sat here and live stream, Comic Con's podcast, we live stream weird things. We sat down here and we watched it and we just kind of laughed, and it was like it was pretty close to what you had there. And they had like I think they put a cannon on one of them, and I'm like, that wasn't a bullet. It would have been more entertaining.
I think they were shooting like gallons of paint.
It was something. It was entertaining to watch, though.
And unfortunately, they didn't walk tank treads, and I believe the Japanese one was a weird like spider thing on the ass end of it.
Like, I would have to go back and watch it.
It's been a while
It was
since I've
highly
seen it.
disappointing.
If you want to ground mechs into reality, it really does make a lot more sense to have tank treads. It's way more practical. I'll admit that too. As much as I love the Mech Warrior stuff, and you need a stable platform. I mean, one of the worst things that could happen to a mech is that thing gets knocked over. If it's not a stable enough platform and it falls down, that's basically the end of the fight.
Then you got Ed 209 from RoboCop, where it's just sitting there with its feet up in the air in the stairwell.
There you go. Perfect example. You get that thing knocked back, and it's gonna have some trouble getting back up.
Yeah.
The I forget what they're called, but from Star Wars, the giant
The
cannon
AT-ATs.
things.
Oh yeah,
AT-ATs.
AT-ATs, yeah.
And the ATSTs, the smaller ones.
Yes, is mom.
The
See, I know
AT-ATs
things.
had the advantage of being quadrupeds, so at least they had some stability there. You could still knock those things down, but it's a lot more stable of a platform on 4 legs than it is 2.
Oh, yeah. All right. So let's move over to Bully. Do you want Chris to move into the Gundam universe, or do you want to start?
You know, Chris has been waiting for this far longer than me, so I'm gonna let him have this one. I have enough other stuff I can talk about if he doesn't touch on what I was gonna talk about. So unleash hell, Chris.
Yeah, we're not gonna unleash hell. We're not gonna
Unleash heck.
Unleash hell. We've got like hours.
I'm gonna unleash something.
I don't gotta be work till Monday. I got all the time in the fucking world.
I just gotta drive a motorcycle in the morning. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hey, he's got to ride one home.
All right, so we're gonna jump off reality here. Go into more fun.
Oh, I didn't know we were grounding this in fantasy. If we were talking fantasy mechs, then I would. I was talking about the real world mechs.
Well, you can.
The real world mechs
adjust
suck.
You can adjust to see reality is over here and it sucks, so we just kind of go this way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is how most of us think in general, anyway.
Which here's the funny thing: like if you keep going this direction, it gets like when it gets to him with Garen Lagann, it's just gonna get weirder.
Yeah.
It's more strange when it gets to him.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, we
that's
want
not
straight
wrong.
fantasy. I'll start quoting Escaflowne, so.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Oh, I miss this.
And this is how a podcast becomes 4 hours long.
And that's what we're aiming for. Go on, Chris.
Really, honestly, man. When it comes to mechs, I'm a huge fan of Gundam, the Mobile Suit Gundam series, and not just the original series. Every series almost that ever came out for it. And so before this cast took off today, I was like, you know what? I want to humor myself. Because I've always wondered about the timeline, seeing as I played the games and they had a converging effect. So I didn't say bored, but I got interested, and I made a comprehensive list of the metaverse timeline.
See, I'm not the only one making notes.
Yeah, but this is
You
worthwhile.
rubbed
notes.
off on him.
A metaverse timeline of like how these Gundam series roll into each other. And it
Agreed, Rosalind. Zoids is a fantastic one. Bird brought that up earlier in the beginning
Zoids
of this
is
cast.
definitely- Yeah, I found out see what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like almost 10 different ones fall under the same category for the same timeline, which would be known as the Universal Century, which is like the original Mobile Suit Gundam, which brought that on, with Char Ansbo, Amuro Ray, and the introduction of the mobile armors and stuff like that.
That's called a spin-off.
No,
And technically.
well,
He's talking about
I know.
mechanical things in there.
Like
the
the-
spin-offs are later. He's going to get to that in the list.
Oh,
yeah, so, well, if you want to break this down to every spinoff, like 3 of them are like within direct line of each other that roll into like 4 different spinoffs,
Well, let's start
which
from the top.
comes back.
How many do you have on that list total? That looks like 30.
Because they're just labeled in different centuries,
Yeah.
if you will. You got the Universal Century, the Domini Century, the Advanced Generations, Future Century, After Colony, After War, Correct Century, Cosmic Era, Post Disaster, and Unnamed Timeline.
my friend Tony Freed,
Yes.
from my old Navy buddy of mine, goes Gundam Universe equals greatest period, mecha period of period all period time period.
Debate over, podcast over. Let's get
And,
Thanks for joining us.
All right, Tony. Thank you.
we'll talk about greatest mecha of all time. Okay, well, we'll get to that. We'll have that debate
That's
later.
a rough one.
I'll bring one in later that I can
Yeah,
debate
it's
with
just-
Oh, this is gonna get passionate.
this. Oh, yeah.
That's the point.
Wait till I break out Real Steel with Hugh Jackman.
Does that even count as mecha?
Yes, it does.
They are fighting with.
Robots.
They're not giant, but they're not small.
Sock'em robots.
Yes, it is. They licensed the property and didn't know what to do.
Hey,
Hugh
it
Jackman
works, right?
needed a paycheck.
There we go. We forgot about the greatest robot fighting ever, Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
No, yeah.
Robot Jocks, which was Real Steel back in the 80s.
You know, I was gonna bring that up earlier. I used to watch that movie with a friend of mine. My next door neighbor, his dad had the movie collection to rival a video rental store, and that was a movie that they had, and we wore that VHS tape out watching it so many times because hey, robots. I to this day probably seen that movie 30 times when I was a kid, and I can't tell you a single thing about the plot of that movie. Now, here's the caveat. I don't know if it's because it's been that long since I've seen it, or if I was too young to understand it, or if it genuinely had no plot going for it.
Was a pretty decent movie though. If you want mindless entertainment,
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell
Yeah,
which
yeah.
one you're talking about. Are you talking about Real Steel or what he just said?
Robot Jocks.
Robot Jocks. Which one are we talking about?
Jocks spelled with an X, if I'm not mistaken.
Because it was extreme.
Right.
Extreme.
All right, so-
Extreme dinosaurs.
All right, Chris, you have your entire list there.
Yeah.
Just run through in order the names of each gun. You just named the timelines there, right? You didn't name,
I got the timelines and the shows that correspond with them.
name in order every Gundam series. Every Gundam series. Go.
You got it.
From
Yeah.
memory.
All right, here we go.
Yeah,
You
Real
know-
Steel. Yeah,
we're gonna
it was
start-
mindless. Yeah.
We're gonna start off with the Universal Century, the one that started it all. We have Mobile Suit Gundam.
Wait, time out. Do you have years next to these, or
Not really.
He's got them sorted by
it wasn't an
timeline.
APA format? I'm done.
No, I gotta teach him about no.
You really want? You really want me to? I
It's
can.
not double spaced.
Yeah, that shit's single space, motherfucker.
No, he meant the other one from the last thing.
You people still use that thing?
It's for design reasons. I'm thinking like a designer.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Chris. You're a
ain't
college
stupid.
student. Go on.
All right, you have Mobile Suit Gundam, 8th Mobile Suit Team,
Very good.
0080 War in Pocket, Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt, 0083 Stardust Memory, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta, Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack, Gundam Unicorn, Twilight Access, Gundam F91, Victory Gundam, and the last one in that timeline is G Savior, which was a live action with terrible CGI and poor acting, which has been rated possibly the worst thing that ever came out for Gundams, and that it should be avoided at all costs.
I have never watched it and don't plan on it.
Yeah.
And I've heard of one of those you just mentioned.
Yes.
But no, I got like 4 or 5 on that one.
I've watched a good 30 to 45% of those.
Then you have the After War, which was After War Gundam X. Then you move into the Cosmic Era, which was Mobile Suit Gundam Seed, Seed Astray, OVA, Gundam Seed Destiny, and Gundam Seed Stargazer.
Oh,
Got that entire timeline.
Now I understand why there's so many different variations of Gundam because of all this Gundam seed getting thrown around.
Yep. That Gundam Seed land, and the next thing you know, you got more robots everywhere. If you build Gunpla, there's just parts everywhere. In your house.
Rosalind, no, Pacific Rim has not been talked about yet. We will get to Pacific Rim.
Oh, we will
Oh,
get
we're
there.
getting there.
Come back in hour 3 for Pacific Rim.
We'll get to the Pacific Rim job.
Then we jump into the unnamed timeline, which was the Gunpla, which is the Gundam builders, kid, where everything about Gundams was pretty much turned into, hey, we're gonna build it and make a show out of that. Where people building the models.
That was the merchandising generation.
Yes,
I'm going to touch on something a little bit later that it's merchandising with robot shows, but continue.
because everyone just loved building robots, so that's what that show came about. Then you have the AD timeline, which produced the Gundam 00, which was the if anyone's ever seen that, you have the 00 Riser Gundam. And I gotta look more into that to explain
Secret
that.
Agent Generation.
No. Then you have Advanced Generation, which was I think another spin-off of the Gunpla building.
We still haven't even hit Gundam Wing yet. Like, that's just how far away I am.
Yeah, right.
Well, these are not in chronological release order. These are in
I know.
timeline.
Oh no, they are in chronological release order in their century.
Well, I know in their century, but the centuries Gundam kind of just shoots shit out there in
Yes.
different timelines to get it
As a
something
good
for everyone.
fighting machine should.
Exactly.
Then you have Future Century, which was the Mobile Fighter G Gundam. Then you have After Colony, which was Gundam Wing and Gundam Wing Endless Waltz.
Wait. G Gundam came before, like, chronologically?
I wouldn't say chronologically.
You just said that, though.
Like
No. I
kind
said
of chronologically.
I said in their century, they're chronological. As I have it written, that's not chronological.
Oh, that's what I was asking for. I wanted chronological. I wanted, like, chronological, which one happened.
Because if that was the case, it would go.
No, don't do all that. Keep
Yeah,
it
well,
in your order.
Yeah, then you got after Endless Waltz, then you got Correct Century, which was the Turn A, which is actually loose. All the other Gundam shows were actually loosely based to build that one. And then you have the most current one, which is Post Disaster for the Iron Blooded Orphans Gundam.
You did forget one on there, which most people do. The SD Gundam show.
There it is! I was
The
about to
super
bring that
deformed
up.
line,
Yeah.
where it's a giant head and a little body.
Out of the, which was the answer to the Pocket Fighters from Street Fighter.
Haha.
Which were the gem was Pocket Fighters 2. And right here, a mecha cartoon designed to sell merchandise was Transformers.
Yep.
Yes.
There's
And
another
Gundam-
one. Go ahead.
Gundam goes hard on the merchandising. If you like to build models, that's where I went from, oh, this is cool, to, oh dear lord, I need all of these things.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Bruce has seen my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was another one, another show, based around fighting robots. Well, more like robot suits. That was also intended to sell merchandise that very few people have heard about. We were talking about this briefly earlier. Exo Squad.
Ah.
It was an incredibly mature show for something that was really a toy commercial. They really, it's like the creators looked at that and said, all right, you're going to pay us to make a toy commercial? Well, all right, we're going to make a good show out of this.
You mean
thing."
Transformers?
We don't talk about Chibi Gundam Fun Time Splash, also known as SD Gundam.
I agree with that
Tony,
statement.
I wish I would have discorded you in for this.
The only time I ever heard of the SD Gundams is one day we're doing the a parody of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms time period.
That actually sounds pretty interesting.
Yes.
It was around for a while. I don't know how long it lasted. I saw like the first episode and gave up.
I think I saw the first episode of that as well. Mecha with the Three Kingdoms.
Yeah.
I think I saw like the first episode and then just never picked it back up.
Well, here's the thing about you got to understand about this group right here in particular. Like the Romance of the Three Kingdoms gave us like 9 to 10 fantastic games.
I would say 8.
Well, I'm adding Extreme Legends and things
okay,
like that
cool.
in there too.
Like,
Which was the Dynasty Warriors series, which they came out with the latest one and it had such potential, and they fucked it up.
oh, they destroyed it.
But
It's like they didn't give a shit about their series anymore.
Yeah, they messed that up, but it
like,
was
screw you,
such
fan
a
base.
good. You're the only warrior who ate his Wheaties that morning. Oh my lord! And then they came out with the Dynasty Warriors Gundam, which was just fun. Because that's where I heard about most of my Gundams at that point. Was like, I have no idea who half these people are, but those are giant lasers, so I'm in. And then you could walk in space, and that in the first one they screwed that up. They put like the bottom of the space zone. You don't just hover over it, you just walk over it. Which is
Yeah.
like, good job, game. Good job.
Which is a shame because everyone knows the only thing that can make giant fighting robots better is flying.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Which
You got your Wing Gundam, you got your Epion, you got your Sea Destiny, Freedom, my
Yep.
bad, Strike Freedom,
Strike
You
Freedom.
get into some Zone of Enders there, talking
Oh, yeah.
about flying around as a giant robot.
the Jehudi. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but
you'll get corrected by somebody in chat, I bet.
it's fine.
Hello, everyone.
I am but a humble redneck.
So we got fantasy here. Now, everyone here's watched some Gundam. And I guess we'll run down the list of everyone's favorite Gundam, and I'm the Edgelord first. Death Scythe. Custom, for that matter. The Dual Scythe, I don't know exactly what made the Dual Scythe more scary than the original.
Well,
Like,
the original one got blown to hell as a publicity
Yes.
stunt by Oz,
Yes,
so they
but no,
milked
no.
that one.
Well, they blew up all of them.
Well, 'cause-
All the originals got blown up, and they made brand new ones for the movie, for Endless Waltz.
Well, no, they blew them up in the series,
Yeah.
and some of them were not completely destroyed. Like, Heavy Arms never really got fucked in the
Yeah.
ass like the rest of them. He just got dual Gatlings and space mobility.
Like, this was
So-
cool because he had the space dampeners, he had the radar dampeners originally, and the wings just added, like, more radar-ish, and it was just cool because it would just, like, pop up behind you with giant wings and then slice you in half. And it's like, you look at life and you're like, ha, scythes aren't practical weapons. And then you see cool scythe shit happen and you're like, yeah.
I will go into battle carrying a scythe for the aesthetic alone.
Yep, and I have on several D&D games.
And you know, honestly, I think one of my favorite things about Gundam Wing that I found out about was they drop a lot of references of Wizard of Oz in that throughout the whole entire series.
And Tony, if you were actually here at the beginning of this conversation, I already brought up Armored Core. I'm right there with you, buddy. He's one of the people that we did the freaking I was talking about before. I did a league, like a tournament league of Armored Core on my ship when we were underway. And Tony, my friend Tony Freed here, was one of the people that I did it with. And I was watching Naruto at the time, and I was just screwing around. And I'm like, I wonder if I can make Sasuke in this game. So my mech had nothing but the highest boost capacity out of everything and one charge sword. And that was the whole thing. And it forced me to get good at maneuvering just to kill somebody in one hit.
And if you like that kind of stuff, here's a game you may not have heard of that you may want to check out if you want to try something that's a little more involved in preparation. A lone game called Carnage Heart. It's a PlayStation 1 game where you don't directly control your robots. You build them, and then you program them. And then let them loose and hope you programmed it right.
All right,
Fun
so,
little challenge.
I'm just doing this because we're about to get full drunk at this point.
so let's
Grab
go
the
down.
whole
Let's,
box?
since I did did my first gun. I did my Gundam first, so he couldn't take it, just in case. Don, you've heard the Gundams. The Gundam series you've seen. Which one's your favorite?
Well, if we're going purely based on the ones I've seen, it's the one with the stuff on it.
Have you watched any Gundam
This is
show?
the part where I admit that no, I haven't.
Okay. So do you know any Gundams in general besides the original?
I couldn't tell you the names. I've seen a ton of them. I respect the hell out of the aesthetic design of the Gundams. I like what they're made for. I just couldn't tell you anything about them. As I said, my robots came from Exo Squad and Mech Warrior and Robot Jocks.
I want you to take this list.
if
and
anybody-
you're gonna watch every goddamn series on here.
In chat, go ahead and throw out your guys'
And each
favorite Gundams as
Gundam
well, so we
series
know what's going on.
Has 50 episodes apiece.
Can we pretend that Metal Gear Rex is a Gundam?
No,
we will touch on Metal Gear because,
because Bullheimer likes to touch on things.
yes, I do. It is a problem.
But go ahead. Who's your favorite Gundam, Bully?
I'm honestly gonna go with the first series, and I gotta go the Wing Zero Custom from Endless Waltz.
Okay.
You know, when the gun is as big as the giant robot carrying it, and you can blast through basically anything with said cannon, and the fact that it has a system that will literally drive you insane while driving it.
Well, let's say one thing. Wing Zero has probably one of my favorite scenes in like a movie, like anime movie, aside from All Might's like Peck Pop of Doom at the end there. But like when he does, when he goes, I will be firing upon your station in
Yes.
you have a chance to surrender, and they go, fire on if you wish. It's all futile. You won't make a scratch. Roger that. And literally just they turn off, they go, and the whole room goes, wait, what? And he fires on them, and he hits the one spot, then fires again, hits the exact same. He's like, he keeps firing, he's useless. And like, nope, he keeps hitting the same exact spot to a centimeter, and it's destroying a foundation. And then he just completely, with one arm, destroys the entire, like,
Well, in that
area.
third shot, he goes, moves a little bit to the left because he realizes his wafu, or whatever you want to call it at this point.
It's waffle.
His waffle.
He just moves a little bit over, and at this point, the thing is pretty fucking trashed. And, you know, gun blows up, he blows up, he still shows up to do some goddamn work when he gets in there.
Yeah,
He fell from the goddamn sky, Gundam destroyed, walks in, and still shows up ready to do work.
Hero U is probably one of the most BA soldier characters you'll ever see.
Actually,
yes.
that was the response that was just put right there. Proof that Hiro Yui is just a war veteran that stopped giving fucks.
Yes.
Exactly. But I will say I like the Zero as much as I did for the fact of the madness that it causes the pilot.
The zero system.
Yes, the
Because
Zero
remember, the
system.
zero system was put in Epion as well.
Exactly, but it was ripped off of the original Zero.
Of course. And
Mu-
then,
much like the original Wing Gundam was ripped off of the Tallgeese frame design.
oh, good old Tall Geese 2.0. One of my favorites.
1, 2, and 3 are all good.
Three's got to be.
3 got the heat sword.
Yeah, 3 was great.
Well, the heat whip.
Well, it was Epion mixed with Tall
Yeah.
Geese.
Well, anyway, I liked it so much that I
was
named
a
my
dragon
own
mixed with
drag
a
car
goose.
Zero. So,
There you go.
and that car, it didn't kill me. It came close, but
Chris, what you got?
For me, I honestly was at one point the Burning Gundam. Like I just enjoyed that series. I enjoyed it because it was a lot of just straight up melee, beat your opponent up senseless. Then I watched Gundam Seed, and I honestly fell in love with the superior firepower of the Strike Freedom Gundam. So those are honestly got my two favorites. I can't really choose between either one of them.
Like actual Gundam? Like from his list?
Yes.
Or in general.
Or of what you watched of any Gundam series.
That depends on what you consider Gundam.
No, anything that says Gundam on it.
Yeah.
Oh, if it's anything that says Gundam on it, I've never watched.
Outstanding.
I'm
want you
not
to take
the
this
only
list.
one.
And
Well,
you're
I'm
watch
gonna look
every
at you,
episode.
and I'm gonna assume, Don, yours is the Second Amendment Gundam, aka Heavy Arms,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
which is nothing but guns with, depending on which one you're going at, either 2 to 4 Gatling guns,
Yeah.
rockets in his chest, rockets in his legs, and his.
no, there's 2 more Gatling guns in the chest,
as
and
well.
then more rockets, and then when everything else fails, fucking machete.
Yeah, he pulled out. He got that at the very end here. He's like, "Oh, well, lose my arm. I got a machete now." Like, when'd you get that?
Sounds a lot like the Atlas from MechWarrior, so I'm in.
Because what was that one? That's the Second Amendment Gundam. I don't give a shit what you say. That guy didn't have any close arms. He's like, which was really funny about that character, Troa Barton, is he came off of Clint Barton, who grew up in a. They both grew up in circuses, and he was the most nimble, noble creature out of all of them. And he's like, I can dance, I can fly through the air, but I'm just gonna shoot the shit out of you because
He was
I'm
like-
lazy.
The best
He
combo
was like
of that
super
is
unhappy and apathetic about everything.
Which was
you see-
every character except for Duo Maxwell, who
Yeah.
literally Duo Maxwell piloted that Death Scythe one.
The God of Death who had a sense of humor.
He's the only one with a sense of fucking humor out of the whole damn thing.
Yes.
the entire conversation line between him and Hero when they meet in, I believe, episodes like 3 to 5. He's like, "You need to lighten the fuck up."
You're the God of Death. Then he had his scythe could light up underwater. It's how hot it was. I'm like, wait, what? Hold on, time out. We're so confused on a lot of things right now.
Fuck you, science.
Listen, when
Physics
we're
be damned. This looks
when we're
cool.
talking giant robots, physics really just don't need to come into play.
No, not at all. Hi.
Bird, let's move away from it for a second, and let's move on to no. We get more viewers when the doggos get on stream. When we let's go ahead and move away from Gundam for a moment because we could spend hours on Gundam alone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, based
and
on that list.
I was gonna bring props, but I
Let's just
decided
go ahead
not
and go to Gear and Logon, and you can
I got
explain
my
to me what
perfect
the
Great
hell
Wing
it is.
Zero sitting in my cabinet. I'm like, I want to bring it, but I'm afraid it's gonna break if I move it.
I have my.
All right, go ahead, Bird. Tell us.
I have my fighter and.
Well, before
Strike
I get
Freedom.
into that, I did remember another
I want to
anime
get the
that I
perfect
watched
grade
that
Strike
involved
Freedom because
giant
that
fighting
thing's
robots.
sexy. It's like
Guys.
sorry.
But
Oh, I said that before I get into Gurren Lagann. I just remembered another anime I watched that involved giant fighting robots. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's called Gun X Sword.
yes,
Have not.
I've
It's-
seen it.
The plot of it is essentially Kill Bill, except it's a guy instead of a girl. That's the main character.
Yeah. And
And
he has no sense of taste. When he orders
I don't-
food, he puts every single condiment on there.
I don't remember giant robots in Kill Bill.
It would
No,
have
I
been
meant
better.
the plot. Like what his driving motivation is just it's Kill Bill.
Sure.
Uh,
I'm trying to get the dog in the frame. Keep going.
as far as Gurren Lagann, it's one of the silliest, but also has like some of the most serious moments of any anime I've ever watched. Because the overall premise is really out there. Essentially, there's some other universe that's decided that our universe is going to destroy itself, so they have to stop it by locking humans underground.
Oh.
And then one of them finds this tiny little, they call him Gunman, that they name Lagann. It's
You know,
it's
straight
literally
to the
about
point, right?
it's literally about the height of me, with just a giant face and tiny arms and legs. That can, for some reason, it's run on willpower and determination.
It's a Green Lantern.
Kind of,
Yeah,
yeah.
who would want to run on those qualities?
No, but like,
Certainly not Ryan Reynolds.
but the thing I was gonna say, for some reason, it can hook into and control the bigger gunmen, and like upgrade them when it does that.
So we've got some like gunception going on here.
Yeah, it like the
Sounds like some Mega Man shit.
Yeah.
yeah, literally they like hook it onto another one. Literally just take it turns into a drill. They shove it on top of it, and they merge together, and it becomes an upgraded version. And then later on, they shove that into a giant warship one, and it becomes an upgraded version. And later on, they shove that into an even bigger one, the size of a planet, and it becomes an upgraded one. And then they're fighting the stars at the tail end of it, and it really gets absurd very fast.
Yo, dog, we heard
Pretty
you like
sure you
some
got-
guns, so we put some gun in your gun.
Pretty sure you got
Exactly.
absurd the moment you said it upgrades to upgrades to upgrades.
Right.
Yeah.
Heard you like an upgrade, so I'm gonna give you an upgrade upon your upgrade.
It's a robot mecha version of a Matryoshka doll.
Well, we may.
Robot Mecha fucking pimp my ride.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this then. Let's go ahead and take this very second to go ahead and bring back the Comic Clowns Anime Club, and let's make that the first one. Because I have got to see this to
This
understand.
is
what
ridiculous.
I don't want to watch it.
I've known of this
I like
ridiculousness
it.
for a while. It's from what I've heard, it gets a bit hard to watch in points. It gets a little plotting, but most of the Gundam series can kind of get that way, a little slowed down and all
It is
talk
less
no.
about giant robots fighting and more about this weird group of people who somehow end up together.
Indeed, but I need to give it a chance just for the gun on upgrade.
Well, actually, then let's change that up really quick. We'll actually talk about the Anime Club at the very end then, because there's actually one I want to do because of the next season coming out very shortly. So,
Someday I'd like to throw a recommendation into that.
of
mix.
course, trust me, this will be like a monthly thing. Get a month, watch it, we come back and talk about it. It's what we used to do back in the day. It's something I want to bring back, just like the horrible movie tournament, which will be returning very shortly.
Hint,
Shadowing.
hint.
Which will be returning very shortly to our cast, and it'll be another fantastic time. I guess it's my turn to talk about whatever ridiculous anime with a mech in it that I did, which was chosen by Big O, because it has one of my favorite lines in it. People are not ruled by their memories. My wife, if she was down here, would say trauma cares to speak otherwise. Which I've heard at least on that one, but it's absolutely true. They believe that in that show, people 40 years prior to the show starting had the anime starting have lost all their memories, and only certain people actually retain them, and they're trying to find them back. And it follows the I can remember the guy's name. I had it. And I
Roger
lost
Smith.
It. Thank you, Roger Smith. It's such a generic ass name. I forgot it.
Yeah.
It's not like Tokido 5. It's not some bullshit. He pretty much is an investigator. People hire him, and he makes a hell of a living because that car is
Oh dear lord, I was
ridiculous.
gonna mention it if you didn't. It was the Batmobile, but done up in like a '60s noir style.
Which he still wears one of the best suits. I mean, anybody who listens to this takes up like a moment, and you get a moment. Look up Roger Smith. His suit, I want to find just to wear. It's just
Not
amazing.
even look up, just watch Big O. I believe it's only 2 fucking seasons.
Yes.
Just watch it. It is amazing. And can we talk
Really
about
is.
the hammer coming out, punch,
The piston.
hammer, hit?
It was the
Yes.
piston.
Yes.
It's the piston punch. It was one of his finishing moves. So pretty much, Big O, when it came to most of the things, there was many more. I can't remember the names of them now. I had it all written down like 2 minutes ago at work, and I forgot my laptop there.
You forgot your list. You got to print notes like Donnie.
Screw that shit. Give me about 13 seconds to get my page up.
So that's 13
Megadeuce.
seconds. Oh,
They're called Megadeuces.
I've taken one of those.
Yeah.
I had one of those earlier
Everyone's
today.
had a Megadeuce in their day. But they're robots, and like Roger Smith had like no idea where the hell. No one knows what at the beginning of the show, and I'm not going to ruin the ending, so go watch it yourself. Honestly, they didn't really know where they came from, and the idea is that they're actually like they try to hint towards that they're actually sentient in a form. And it's pretty cool, like because like one of his moves is Big O is just the tankiest one, and it is called Big O, and he goes Big O, it's showtime, and literally yells into his watch like a Power Ranger, and no matter
He's got
where
the
he's at,
greatest smartwatch ever.
yeah, really, he does. Like,
I'm disappointed that his catchphrase wasn't "It's time for the Big O."
No, that's what he yells to his robot android butler.
Right.
which
His waffle butler.
I'm not good at all the terms, damn it. I'm just a humble redneck who likes anime.
I think the word looking for is waifu.
Yeah, I know. I know what I meant to say, but my mouth says something else. so-
Waffles works. I'm okay with waffles.
It's like a wife.
so
more weebish.
it's really strange with Big O because I wanted to get more into it because I want to go back and rewatch it because like as soon as he gets into Big O, he yells into a watch and it, somehow magically no one sends it. Okay, it's on a train underneath the ground, and it just shows up. And at some points, it actually has shown up on its own to save his butt. As soon as he gets in, it's a really cool thing. It says, "Cast in the name of God." And as soon as he sits down, "Ye not guilty." And it says like a huge thing about him, and it's that's where people start believing like that's the way of it telling it that it has chose him. And its big move, it has huge just plate armor on its arms. Which he uses to defend. But
Goddamn Popeye forearms.
So yeah, really. As soon as he goes to punch you, though, his final maneuver, aside from the plasma cannon that he has in his chest and everything else, but that
And the
comes
rockets and everything
yeah,
else
that,
that goes.
but that's at the very end. Though that comes with. But his major one is he has this giant ass pistons out of his elbows, like huge things. So they cock back, and he's sitting in it. He's got some really cool like pretty much fly machines from the gym, so he never skips chest day when he's in this bitch. And he slings it in. He hits you with it. The punch hits you. It lifts you up. He hits a button, and the piston just slams in and just adds. It just blows out the back of the machine. And another reason they brought this up, and was that these Megadeuces, there's more than one. They start explaining in the series where they came from, what they do know about them, and like I said, get into this one because it was a very recent series, like 2000s that this came out.
Oh yeah.
So this
it got
is
its second season, I believe, because of Toonami.
yeah,
Enough
Toonami's.
people clamored for it because it didn't have a solid
So
ending.
like the very ending on it was one of the things I will like. I won't like ruin it for you, but like because they got the whole fight and everything else was like apparently one of the Megadeuce's biggest thing was they could take a apparatus that was inside of it, and it could attach to your back. It would attach. It would surge into your spine, and at that moment, you would become one with the Megadeuce, and you guys would become one being. Now, once that's done, there's no undoing that. You are now that giant robot, and he actually, you can tell he has the rapport with it. As it comes down, he goes. He looks at it and he goes, "Is this what you really want? Because I've always been there for you. I'm never going anywhere, and you've always been there for me. If this is not what I want, is this what you want?" And the thing actually just stops. And then it goes back up. He goes, "That's my decision too." And they just go to fucking town. Ham shit at the end. And it's really good. I say go watch it. It has some good investigation work. It's like Cowboy Bebop in that respect. Like
he
it
does
has
more actual greatest detectiving than Batman does most of the time.
It's effectively the very ending of it. Like each episode, it turns into like it's Power Rangers at like, and it's like any anime. It's like, okay, we have these really cool, like exciting scenes, but the end's a giant fucking fight, and that's what I can't wait to watch. And it's just like Batman with the fact that the police can't touch him, and the police sometimes call him. So it's a pretty cool, like it's a really good series. He does have a badass car.
we have to
Big
talk
O
about,
sponsored by Taco Bell.
Oh yeah.
we do have to talk about the Butler before we end the
But
Big
I'm
O
not
discussion.
gonna stop that. Go ahead. You go on about the Butler. I'll let you-
So, the Butler is the Alfred that we deserve. This man maintains the car, maintains the Megaduce. I can only imagine the plunger involved.
Right.
And when needed, i.e., when our main character, Roger Smith, is in trouble, he shows up on a motorcycle with a sidecar and a motherfucking rocket launcher.
yeah, he doesn't fuck around. Like,
No, he is the greatest version of Alfred who has ever existed.
That's a butler you give a good Christmas bonus to.
That is a butler that you
Buffler.
will the estate to.
a buffler too.
Right.
Yeah, in your will, like how old he was, you're gonna die.
Should
before he
waffle
does.
him up right away.
My stuttering is apparently even more prevalent tonight than normal, so.
Let's see here. There was okay, sorry. Okay, nothing important.
You got it?
Nothing important.
Good.
Positive. I'm fucking fantastic. But we gotta talk about one of the mechs that. There's a couple mechs actually that I want to bring up. I just gotta remember that I'm drinking, so I gotta remember in order. We gotta remember like one of the biggest mechs and robots out there, the Iron Giant.
Yeah?
Disney's the Iron Giant, ladies and gentlemen.
Possibly the best acting that Vin Diesel has ever done in his career.
Oh come on, Groot.
I don't know.
He only had to say 3 words.
Well, hang
He
on.
had more emotion in Iron Giant.
I know he
You gotta hand
had.
it to him, though, doing the voice of Groot. Not only did he wear stilts to get the height, just to get into character, he's in a sound stage. He's in a recording booth, and he's still wearing the stilts just to get into character a bit. And every single line uttered by Groot in those movies was individually recorded. They did not reuse a single line.
Yeah, especially like
They paid
my
him
bad.
enough for
he
it.
did 4 long. He did 4 words because you forgot to. He did say "we" one time.
Yeah.
But
And R.
yeah, well, yeah, 5 man.
Yeah, there you go. So you got at least hand him to
He did
Hint
5
of that,
lines.
but-
Okay.
Iron Giant. Yeah.
But Iron Giant was fantastic. If you have never watched Iron Giant, good Fred, you are. It is a fantastic. It is a great family film, and it's very heart wrenching. It is very, very cinematic. Please go and go watch it. It's about a kid and his giant robot, which is what we all really wanted.
Right. If that's not enough to sell you on it, then
The kid gets a pet robot, basically, and this kid, unfortunately, is named Hogarth. So he could really use
You
a
could
pet
use a
robot.
giant robot at that point.
that's someone who's getting stuffed into a few lockers at school.
He was not a large child either. He was quite tiny.
And a good good bit of allegory for the Cold War. So,
Oh, it was.
Yeah. So you get a little history lesson there too, kind of.
We can just keep this circle of topics going because I have more.
Oh, and then you're up.
All right. Yeah. What else you got? What else want to add to this?
All right, since they actually recently dropped it all on Netflix, Evangelion. A show that I have watched multiple times and still have no fucking clue what happened.
Good
Hold
luck.
on. The response to Iron Giant. It's Breach of Terabithia, but with giant robots.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
great response. But yes, go ahead. So,
So I recently just,
Evangelion.
I recently just finished binging Evangelion because once again I watched it when it was on cartoons back in the day, and watched it again. Guess it's a redub. I don't remember the series enough originally to have a opinion on plus versus negative of the voice acting cast, but that show is goddamn weird but amazing in so many senses.
I feel like
So-
that description fits most anime.
It's got some really dark moments
Well,
in there too.
You go expecting your standard giant robot show, but then what you get is a giant, whatever the fuck this thing is, human type thing, wearing armor that someone sits in and syncs with on a mental level and fights other things. And if your sync rate falls below a certain point, the robot takes over and goes affectionately what they call berserk, as seen in episode 1. Where, you know, the giant mouth opens and it just goes into a fucking blood rage and owns all. And it gets progressively weirder from there.
Progressively weirder from there.
Not wrong.
Toward the fact that when you watch the movie, it's even just like I have to watch this again because I have no clue what the hell just happened.
All right, Chris, you got anything to add?
Not that. Not to that. No.
No. We got Evangelion. I mean,
Oh.
let's go on to other shows.
Other shows. Yeah. Then you got another like early to late '90s one called Dual Parallel Universe. Not universe, but it's essentially this kid finds a way to a parallel universe compared to his own. Because at certain, like throughout the first episode, you see random comparisons and like, okay, why are they doing this? Okay, I understand now. They're just showing you how certain scenes played out in certain ways on both sides of the universe. So, and it's just how he ends up from one universe to another, where a whole lot of shit's different. Because throughout his timeline, where on his universe, he randomly imagines robots fighting each other, and everyone he thinks he's crazy and very creative because he starts writing down what he sees as stories. Then somehow ends up flipping over to that universe where the robots are actually existing. And then it just goes, okay, we're back to a convergence of both worlds. Then you have another anime, Code Geass. It's really not mecha heavy, but the mechs are there to actually just help move the plot line, which I thought was pretty cool. And their mech suits, aside from the basic little armors they have, the actual custom mechs, like the Knights of Round, the Knights of Zero, the red one that Colin runs, they're actually really great mobile suits, in a way. I thought those were pretty cool.
All right. I'm gonna see if I can get my friend Tony on Discord really quick, because I want him to explain Escaflowne.
Sure.
I'm gonna see if I can get him on here. No, we need you for Escaflowne, Tony. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to save a wicked cough. I don't care. You're gonna come on anyways. Let's go. Because I don't know. I watched Escaflowne for a while, and I don't remember enough about it
Same.
to even talk about it right now.
I can explain Gunnex Sword.
Do that. Gunnex Sword.
So, like I said, the main character, his motivation is essentially kill Bill. Some guy killed his fiance on the day of their wedding, left him for dead. He didn't die. He's going after said person and killing anyone who was in any way connected. What's weird about it is, like, so there are mechas, and they are on a planet that is essentially Australia, in that it was just like, oh, here's this desert planet, let's just dump all our prisoners there, and it's a functioning planet now. Whatever. And so there are only 7 mechas, or 7 giant robots, mechas, whatever, in the actual anime, and they were originally the, like, security force of this prison planet, and his is named Dan of Thursday, because they all have a name and a date, or a day of the week, related to them. And the way he calls it, because it's in a satellite floating above the planet, the way he calls it is he has a sword that he wears as a belt. It, like, he grips the handle, pulls it out, it electrifies it into a solid sword. Mm-hmm. And then he does some weird motion with it, and it signals for the satellite to just shoot the robot down. And it doesn't have, like, controls. It's kind of the concept of he puts the sword down in this weird ethereal thing inside of it and just controls it with his mind, and that's how he fights. And it only really comes into play when he's fighting other people who also control the different ones that are part of, like, the bad guys group, because they all view him as some sort of weird, crazy prophet. But he also heals by being inside it. So, and like he said, he has this, like, terrible sense of taste, because any food you give him, he will make sure he puts every condiment you have, like an entire bottle of ketchup, mustard, ranch, anything you give him on top of it.
Well,
before
ranch on everything is a great idea.
but like,
That's how you clean your car in the trailer park.
Yeah.
Just sprinkle it on there and it gets lick clean by morning.
Exactly.
This friend just lays here. I want
Dinner.
ranch.
I just keep thinking of how
Doesn't he
efficient
have like
it would
a
be.
small follower or something with him? Like,
yeah, he ends up like this girl tags along with him because they're begging him to save her village. And I guess the village, there are other mechs because the village guy, the bandit leader is in possession of one.
like this gambling one.
Yeah. It's literally just a mech version of a casino.
You really, yeah.
Which,
It's like a slots thing.
yeah, which is still worlds less absurd than some of the mechs that show up in Gurren Lagann. Because I was rewatching it earlier, and one of the ones that I had forgotten about is literally it's a bathhouse that they use to capture women to give as tributes to the leader of the Beast Men. I'm not joking in the slightest.
You're not kidding. You're not kidding. That does sound weird. Yeah.
Okay, I really have to watch this now just to actually see what you described in on screen and just kind of fill in the blanks of why.
So that's happening. Okay.
He's going.
Yeah. That's a unique premise. That
Fred.
Come on, buddy. Go.
I think that's the kind of thing. If you weren't prepared for that in advance, that would kind of catch you a bit off guard.
He
In a
thinks
show
you're
like
trying to
that.
move the chair. Fred, come on.
Well,
go.
apparently
Upstairs.
Fred still wants to stay.
We have technical dog difficulties. Right now.
That's so weird.
Why did you
Yeah.
touch
All right,
him?
he wants to stay here.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
fine
he
with
was
that.
going till you touched him.
I didn't.
I mean, he's probably really helping our numbers right now. Can you please look at that guy? He's adorable.
He's adorable.
Quick straw poll in chat. Who wants the dog to stay?
Only one person's going to respond. That's going to happen. So let's move towards live action then, really quick.
I have one more.
We'll go back to anime.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about Iron Man now?
No, he's not a mech.
Some exit.
He's a man in a
Yeah.
suit.
Yeah, well, I guess it's a good question. Is at what point does something qualify as a mech or mecha versus just armored suit?
I mean,
Like, do we give a nod to the power armor from the Fallout series? Does that count?
the Ironmonger armor because it was ridiculous. The giant, the shit that the North Koreans came up with in Iron Man 2, where it just killed everyone. That actually looked like. Let me go through your flashcards here. There was one that looked like it.
Probably the Atlas, be my guess.
You know, that had the shoulder pods though. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh.
More like this, but smaller.
Gotcha.
I just had to reference your flashcards because
It'd probably be the Timberwolf, be the one you're thinking of.
the man comes prepared.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're gonna talk robots, we're gonna talk about fighting, and you gotta come prepared and know the armories and know how things are gonna fight in battle. So I think of that one.
Yep, pretty much.
Yep, Timberwolf.
I,
Go to.
I didn't want to bring up the actual scene that he used because he actually explains what he classifies it as in Iron Man 2 during a courtroom scene.
It's a
Yeah.
high-tech prosthetic.
Thank you. I could not remember for the life of me exactly how he said it. I knew it was high tech. I couldn't remember
That's
prosthetic. It actually says it's a high tech prosthetic. That's it. That's the best. That's the most ample way he can explain it. It's not a mecha. It's not a mech suit. It's not a weapon even, because they were trying to yell it as the Iron Man weapon. The high tech.
Well, what about War Machine?
Oh, they upped the fucking ammo quantity on that one a lot.
Because that's Justin Hammer.
Yeah, it's, I mean.
How did that mother-in-law work out for you?
But let's.
If the Iron
It's
Man
called the
suit is a
ex-wife.
prosthetic, then
I thought it
think-
was the
think War
mother-in-law.
Machine can,
No, it was the ex-wife.
Yeah. Well, like most people, I don't remember much from that movie.
I just watched it. I'm going through, like, I think I'm in the middle of it. Yeah, no, I'm in the middle of it right now. I'm watching all the MCU all over again. But the one I wanted to talk about, because I know people wanted to bring it up, was Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah.
The Jaegers.
The Jaegers.
Do we have any
The
Jaeger to
most
drink? I
awesomely
should have
dumb
came more
movie, or
prepared
the
than
most
this.
dumbest awesome movie of all time.
Yeah, which is like a lot of questions about that one. We need 2 people so it doesn't psychologically break you.
What?
And then you have the Asian team with 3. But they do get the extra hand.
If 2 is good, 3 is better.
That's my philosophy with horsepower.
Exactly. Or giant robots.
Or anything, really.
Yeah.
Well, you
would've
have
thought they'd be
you
compatible.
have the freaking link. Join the Discord, Tony. Join the conversation. But yeah, no, it was hold on. It was I can't say it was a good like film because script was weird and acting was off because
I don't know.
he couldn't figure out an accent to keep.
Back
then-
when Charlie Hunnam was still a thing.
and
That speech was pretty epic.
oh, it was the best.
Well, that was Idris Elba. That man.
As Honest Trailer says it.
Please
it-
be the next James Bond, Idris Elba.
Let's go ahead and just quote some Honest Trailer quick so we get this out of the way. Let's APA format Honest Trailer for a couple things because I 100% agree with what they said. They brought up the fact that that was the best presidential speech since Independence Day.
Since.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, no, it's not better than. It was the best since Independence Day.
Agreed.
Because Independence Day is still fucking phenomenal. Let's just get that out of the. That's just amazing.
They probably blasted that out on the ship so you can kind of just like, sorry.
Whenever you get your microphone working, Tony, let me know. But that was really good. But then, like, the CGI in that thing was amazing.
It was very good.
And then, my favorite, like, it was, and then, like, they're like, oh, we have the Jaegers coming out of the rift. It's like, oh, why don't we, like, we gotta throw a bomb down there. I'm like, I don't know, why don't you just sit down there and when they come out, you cut off their heads? Would have been probably as effective.
Not
Ron-
as interesting to watch.
No, but Ron Perlman put on a fantastic performance.
As Ron Perlman does.
Oh, Ron Perlman doesn't usually screw that up. It was just a good, like, it was a good family, like, I would call it a family-friendly movie. Like, it was great.
Well, your selling point is giant robots fighting. That's
Some kaiju, some
Well, yeah,
monsters.
exactly.
It was
That's-
everything your 15-year-old self wanted out of a film.
right. I mean, going back to Robot Jocks, I just remember that being what little I remember of it being terrible. And when I saw Pacific Rim, the reveal trailers and all that, I thought, this is probably not going to be good from a filmmaking perspective. But then, really, does it need to be? You've got the main elements: giant monsters, robots fighting. That's a winning combination. When you cover that, then really you get a lot of leeway for the rest of the script, and it still managed to pull something off.
I have a massive love of that movie because I have mentioned to Bruce before there were a few movies that I got to see with my father right before he died because we would leave his chemo treatment and go to the movie theater because he still wanted to be like, I am going out and doing things. The last two movies I saw with my father was Pacific Rim and Iron Man 3. Pacific Rim, the memory is a lot brighter.
You are not allowed to do the horrible movie tournament with Pacific Rim or with not Pacific Rim, with Iron Man 3 because you're like, I remember and I liked it. Nostalgia doesn't count.
No,
okay?
I know, but to see a man who my father was not really into anything that I was of the giant robot fighting thing, to see him want to get out of his wheelchair, he attempted. He did not succeed, sadly. But like, fuck yes, 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 in the movie theater, made me love that movie forever because there are scenes in that movie where it's just hilarious. It's just over the top action, and then it like breaks down to something hysterical, like fist goes through wall,
He's ready to go
and then
now.
knocks the little like ding 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 balls. I forget what the hell they're called.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But no, that movie is great. It did a very good service for people who have been wanting a live action robot movie for years, and we've only gotten things like Robot Jacks. Not saying it's terrible, but I'm not saying it's good.
Come on, Mecha Godzilla was great.
Mechagodzilla in a lot of things was good. I'm not even going to touch on the Mechagodzilla in Ready Player One, but that's a rant for an entire different evening.
Ready Player One was not a mecha movie. We don't talk about that.
There were Gundams in it.
There was a Gundam.
Still in it.
There was supposed to be goddamn more if you read the books. The silence is due to dog, by the
Yeah,
way.
no, you're fine. What else do we got here? What else did we want? Because so we got Pacific Rim, and then what did we think? Who here actually saw the Power Rangers film?
The newest one?
Yes, the live action.
I enjoyed
Yes.
Great. Neither one of you two, obviously, as they sip a beer and sit quietly next to
Yep.
the dog.
Nope, I don't see many movies.
As he sips his alcohol. What did you think of the Megazord at that point?
You know, I went into that movie expecting nothing.
And it's exactly what you got.
I expected it to be a lot shittier than I was.
I was pleasantly surprised as the fact that I was able to watch the entire movie because I expected it to be trash. You know, it wasn't my type of robot fight, especially because Pacific Rim set the standard pretty good for that in live action fights. And even Pacific Rim 2 for its many, 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 many flaws.
I never saw Pacific Rim 2. Tony, welcome to the cast.
Still had good robot fighting, so.
Sounds out of right.
Sounds like
Yeah,
death.
thankfully, I've been living the last 20 years of my life off rye whiskey and unfiltered cigarettes. What can I say?
It's like a grizzled old private investigator, 20 years off the job.
But it's just you. But in reality, he's just you, but bald.
Right, basically. No, luckily, Scotch is a fantastic cough syrup.
If that description is accurate, I feel bad for you.
Except I'm not sure.
But let's finish that up. I never saw Pacific Rim 2, and
It's worth a watch if you don't pay for it.
and then as you were talking about that giant robot, like I never wanted to see a giant robot like moonwalk or like dance like that. So Power Rangers kind of let me down at that point. So I don't know. Like, it was a decent. It took forever to get to that point, though.
Well-
And once again, in an anime, to get to that point, that makes sense.
Yeah.
To get to the giant robots takes to the last 30 minutes of the episode, but like that movie, you wanted more giant before that.
Considering, like, all of us are around the age where we grew up seeing the Power Rangers with, like, the most metal guitar intro ever, and we got a lot of robot in that. And then
You mean
movie,
the Power Ranger opening that's literally ripped from Metallica?
Pretty much, yes.
But it was a good rip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was entertaining. And I knew of that before I knew of Metallica. And then, like, the portals of hell opened and I discovered metal.
As
So,
most kids.
Right. Yeah, you don't have many like 6-year-olds that are big Metallica fans.
well, now you do because their music is made for toddlers. But that's a topic for another
That's
cast.
a topic for
They
a
had to catch up Lars Ulrich, but yeah, anyway.
Damn.
Large had to grow up into the 6.
All right, we're not doing that.
You have to throttle me on music because that's where I get really fucking douchey. So
We already did our social commentary episode last time.
That was my BS. My social commentary episode was last time. I get one every 2 months. Okay, this one is fun and games because if we're gonna talk
And
about
robots.
giant robot fights really quick, my daughter used to watch, and I'd be right beside her, Batman: Brave and the Bold, and there's one episode that had a mech fight with Batman in it, and it had my favorite line of all time. Now, if you I forgot exactly which villain that was, but it had a woman who had a man's voice. It was pretty much a dude. It was a crossdresser.
Oh, God, I
effectively.
know which one you're talking about.
He had like a grizzled beard, big thing, and he's like, and he had like the deep voice. Just was like,
A big what?
chiseled beard and a big chest.
Okay. Okay.
You
said
wouldn't.
big thing and
It's like you wouldn't hit a
He
woman.
wasn't looking at
and,
you,
and
Danny.
Batman, who was being voiced at the time by the guy from the Drew
Dietrich
Carey Show.
Bader.
Thank you, from Drew Carey Show. It looks at him and goes, "You wouldn't hit a lady, would you?" And has my favorite line ever: "The hammer of justice is unisex," and then punches it square in the face.
I have seen that clip and it is
Hilarious.
hilarious.
It just made me.
great.
Honestly,
laugh.
for me with that show, honestly, my favorite thing is watching him and Catwoman interact with one other hero there. Like, wait, are you two actually flirting? Wait, you two are honestly flirting right now, aren't you? The scene ends with him holding Catwoman's number.
Well,
But that was just a funny mech thing because they bring giant robots into different cartoons and things like that. And
because everyone likes
Megas
giant
XLR.
robots.
it was. So you wanted to talk about Catholic Gundam? Go ahead.
So I did a little research on this, and I was slightly off. But so Escaflowne dealt with a girl from Earth who was pulled into the world of Gaia. alternate dimension that was created from the combined wishes of the inhabitants of Atlantis as it sunk into the ocean. So for all of my D&D players out there, basically Atlanteans are Quoatoa and can just imagine whatever they want into reality. But they use the mech Escaflowne to fight off the Zybac Empire and their attempts to take over Gaia and the 100 different countries of Gaia. But of all these 100 countries, the fate rests on like a moody, stereotypical anime prince, a girl who's a fortune teller from an alternate dimension, and one really, really big looking paladin mecha. And that is Escaflowne.
All right. Wait, didn't she get there by actually dying on Earth?
If I remember correctly in Escaflowne, the thing turned into a dragon and he rode it by standing on top of it to travel, and then went into it to fight in its like night form.
Oh my god, it's
Right.
the White Ranger.
Yeah.
Well,
Pretty much,
yeah.
except he didn't have things covering his face, so when he played the flute, it actually would have made noise.
I said white, not green.
Ah, fuck, I fucked myself right there. So,
Well, there was the one episode where Tommy jumped into the Dragonzord, but that's whatever. I mean, all it would have taken was like 10,000 putties. He would have been nothing, but that's a whole other conversation.
I love this cast. That's another conversation.
We'll get there.
And I sit around here and I wonder what we're going to talk about this week. I should listen to these things more often and just go back to these conversations.
Right.
exactly, we're throwing you out fucking topics here, man.
Yeah.
We always forget, because, by the end of this cast, we're inebriated.
Okay, if we're
Except
talking about
for
like
Don.
giant things, we're talking about mechas in general. I don't know if I could qualify it, but it would work. Has anyone here besides me played White Knight Chronicles?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, good. I have two of you, and that's all that matters.
You gave me the game.
I did give you the game. I never finished 2 because 2 got really complicated
Taking
to get through.
my moment back here. Now.
Now, White Knight Chronicles, I can't remember the premise of it, but it was really funny. Is you made an NP, you made yourself, okay? You made your character, but for once, you were not the main focus. You were that random guy in the background who was actually supposed to be making an alcohol deposit with another guy, and that guy is the main person, and then you just kind of are there. So you get to watch all this amazing things happen. Now, what happens is, like you were talking about, like we talked about a belt before, right? Give an example. There's multiple knights. Now, one of the knights, he literally he pulls out a shield and a sword, and he turns into a giant like knight, like a robot knight, effectively. But then there's the weird one. That's the dragon one, where he takes a freaking belt and he slaps it around his waist, and it bites itself, and he turns into a giant robot. Effectively, like there's not even giant robots. There's giant knights, but you are the suit, and everything else is still like a foot tall on the screen compared to you. And it was just like we're talking about the classification of mecha, like that. I feel like you as the main character, because you're controlling yourself, you never actually get to see what it's like to control one from the inside. Even though you made yourself, Don, you don't ever get these badass powers. Like, you're watching, like, the other main character play it, so it's like, that was just a really cool game where you get really fun, like, giant, like, knight things, and you get screwed.
So, Bruce, on that subject,
Which one? Getting screwed?
well, we'll save that for another conversation.
That's for hour 6.
Yeah. After everybody's sufficiently inebriated.
Correct.
That's when you get tired of turning into noble butter.
Right.
You're right. But people in like a video game like you're talking about and going into giant robots, what about Xenogears?
Oh, there we
I
go.
haven't jumped to Xenogear yet, but please regale
Yeah.
us.
Oh,
This is where I could have used Kyle, because he's just finished playing Xenogear.
yeah, and I haven't gone through it in a while, but it's essentially Wu Fei from Gundam Wing on acid going through Sigmund Freud book of psychology.
Okay, so I'm on board at this point.
Yeah,
It's a fun game.
you
Fred,
would
what are you
really
doing to me?
dig this.
Hold on. The most fun part about it was the fact that they ran out of money halfway through making it, so the last half of like the second disc is nothing but like dialogue and then boss fight, and then dialogue and then boss fight.
get love and
I
get
mean, there's
chicken.
worse ways to
Come on,
end a
buddy.
game.
I know you want to. I know you're trying for it. There it is.
Yeah, that's very true.
Especially when we're talking giant robots, and really, what do you want to do with a giant robot? You want to fight with it. So if you're giving me an entire disc full of
I want to
fights,
start playing it.
I'm
Yeah.
on board.
But you have to build up a meter of like, or you have to buy fuel to pilot your giant robot, and otherwise your characters fight outside of their giant robots with the power of martial arts and belief.
What are they,
It
clerics?
sounds like G Gundam right now.
Kind of. Yeah, actually.
Fred just realized you moved the chicken.
Yeah.
He's no longer happy.
Okay,
Uh,
what he wants.
This
He
is a
was
fu-
trying to sneak over
I
This
there.
is a
want him
fun
off of me.
podcast. Like people are listening to this and be like, "There's a dog in
like
this." I need to
dog.
start watching the stream.
This is why you have
Alright,
to
come on,
watch,
buddy. We're
not
going.
just listen. But then you have to look at us, so
Right,
it's a mixed bag.
We're not as cute
The
as
majority of
dogs.
this crowd is not much to look at, including myself. So
I'm working on it. Comic Clown's workouts. We're working on that too.
Right.
God, I'm trying to think like what games do I have that are giant mechs as well?
Well, we did just touch on briefly Armored Core earlier.
Armored Core. That's a game that I wish would come back. But they got the Gundam Maker models that kind of like that does all of that now. You know, like.
the Gundam Maker mobile game is not bad.
Well, no, I'm
Oh,
saying
the
the
new Gundam Breaker game, you mean?
Yeah.
Gundam Breaker that Chris
Yeah.
has is fun as hell. Like that's a $75 game you have to buy from friggin' like a con or something to find.
Got
now.
that at GameStop.
Yeah, there was the first one we got from a
No,
con.
yeah, the first one was Gundam Breaker 3.
Yeah, that was one we found that was really hard to find.
Yeah.
And you get to make your own Gundam at that point.
I'm pulling up the one I play on my phone right now if it'll load. This one,
I mean,
it's a mobile
Bruce,
game with
if-
Continue, please.
if we can get some classic streaming going, I have a copy of Gundam Wing Battle Assault for the PS1.
Oh, fuck yes, I am on board.
That is
Holy
awesome.
crap.
I used to
God.
play that, and I would pay a lot of money for that, honestly.
I paid, hold on, I think it still has the price tag on it.
There you go, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna.
My phone's
I'm
not
not
showing
gonna
up
lie.
right
If
now.
I'm going like that, that's been popping up on my feed a lot. Because
It's fun. I enjoy it.
I think
I
it's
paid
'cause
$16.
if I was looking for a
To the
friggin'
internet.
it's 15 bucks?
16.
Oh.
16.
Oh, 16 is too much.
I got a 2. It should play it, so.
But here's my thing.
Yeah.
If I was looking for a game I wanted to start like
got
classic
1, 2,
streaming on
3.
again,
Okay.
it's Legend
2,
of
3, and 4.
Legaia. And then I definitely want to go find Legend of Dragoon on Steam and start that.
Yeah. it's a good one.
But let's see here. I loved the old. My first mega video game was for Gundam. Before I actually joined the Navy with Armored Core, was actually the Mobile Suit Gundam game that came out for Dreamcast.
Yes, I remember that game.
Here was my problem. I didn't. I played it with Danny Lake, and God rest that man's soul. He's been dead for a couple, like 10 years now. It feels like. Good guy, wholesome family. I had bought a Dreamcast. My parents had bought me a Dreamcast, and I brought it over to his house. And this is right when memory cards had become a thing. Now, if you remember, memory cards weren't a thing. So, it was a disc, and I had, no idea what the hell needed a memory card for. So, we started the game one day, then we turned it off. I'm like, we'll come back. And, we turned it off, came back, nothing was there. It's like, you have no memory card. And we're like, what the hell is this? Then we realized that I didn't own a memory card, and I didn't know where to get one from at the time, because GameStops weren't exactly
A thing.
a thing.
Crazy was.
Game Crazy was, but I didn't know.
Electronics Boutique.
I didn't want to spend a
EB
whole lot.
Toys?
Circuit City.
Walmart.
So we ended up actually
Fuck Walmart. I'm a union guy.
to beat the game.
I agree.
To beat the game, we left the game on. We left the system on for 4 days straight, just to beat it.
I did the same thing when I first got a PS2, and the first game that I had rented and started playing, and I told myself, I knew I didn't have a memory card. I said, don't get too involved in this. Going tomorrow to the store to pick up a memory card, and I ended up playing it for about 4 hours straight.
And you got too addicted, yeah.
Yeah, and I tried calling up my next door neighbor, a good friend of mine, and hey, dude, I gotta save my game here. Please let me borrow your memory card. Just let me put one save file on it. I will give the thing back to you. We'll transfer it. Tomorrow I will get a memory card. And he wouldn't do it.
What a prick!
He wouldn't let me borrow the memory card. So I had to leave the system running for 16 hours just to not lose all that progress. And I still remember the game was Kessen.
Oh, okay.
That's
Oh.
why.
Yeah. It's like I'm not losing that progress.
No, we were talking about Armored
Yeah.
Getting to
Core.
the game point, I'm about ready for my next rant.
I was talking about Armored Core, dude. I was talking about Armored Core. I don't know if you joined in. It was you and me, like with Cooper and Shu and everybody else on the mess deck, like playing Armored Core Raven, and we they unlocked all the stuff you needed, and you had a tournament. You picked a partner. You'd create a mech, and they had a bracket, and it was like me and him, and. We won because he had this giant, stupid tank, and I picked the most overpowered weapon, and I would go hide in or something, which was a cluster missile. It would fly out, explode out, but when you're done with an item, you could jettison it to reduce your weight. So I would drop it off, and I would go out there, and my character's name was Sasuke, and I would literally just like fly as fast as I could and just stab somebody in the chest, while he's sitting there as a freaking mobile tank that they just can't kill, and he's just blowing everybody up.
Now, I should specify my tank was actually a bipedal core designed to look like Wing Gundam that had almost maxed out health, but moved almost as fast as Bruce's mech.
It was really stupid. So they would be chasing him around, but they couldn't see me because I had like such high boosters, and they would be fighting him. I'd be like, I don't know how to. I didn't really, because they own the game. So I just run up behind people, and just as they're trying to kill him and catch him, I just stab him in the back with a sword and run away like, I'm a rogue! And that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that game is exciting. That's what set the grounds for Gundam Breaker and things like that. Was Armored Core, but it obviously never made enough money to stay around, unfortunately.
Well, it got bought by Sega, and then they kind
We
of...
don't talk about Sega. But I'm assuming, since Bully here says we're talking about games, he's got his next topic, we're going to be moving on to Metal Gear really quick.
Oh yeah,
There it is.
Oh, one of my favorites.
I have loved that series. I am one of the few people who knew of the Metal Gear series before Metal Gear Solid came out.
Mm-hmm.
Played it on the Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
It was one of those. I had a very local video store for those people.
Guess what? Snacks, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were pointing at me like I was doing something.
No,
else.
snacks, go ahead.
We got
I
chicken,
thought
we got
the snacks
pretzels, we
were
got
just set deck.
cashews, some vanilla wafers.
Well, anyway.
Y'all got chicken?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, genuinely do.
it's fucking
Chris made
delicious,
some
by the
chicken.
way.
So, yeah, we got Leroy right here. He's got his chicken.
At least I got chicken.
Right.
This is by the way, this guy right here is my original WoW buddy. When I was in the, my wife won't watch, my ex-wife won't watch this. When I was in the middle of getting a divorce, I was put on suicide watch, but I was never told about it. So he stayed at my house, and for an entire weekend, from start to finish, we played Burning Crusade, just with a warlock and a paladin soloing things we should not be soloing, while playing Guitar Hero and Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. To the point where people got scared because he took my PlayStation and went and played Ultimate Ninja Storm. And I would walk into the barracks, and as soon as I walked up to the thing, he'd be like, nope, and put down the controller because he didn't want to fight me. So the next person goes, I'll fight him. And he goes, your funeral. And I wasted him in like 3 seconds, and everyone just started laughing at the guy in the barracks. And I like walked out.
So, what I'm hearing is when it comes time for us to do our WoW Classic podcast, we gotta.
Oh yeah, this guy. This definitely. You're on her. You're on. Where you got WoW Classic, right, buddy?
I'll probably be downloading it. I've got a friend that was going to make a guild called the Mutang Clan.
You
So
told
my
me about
plan,
this, yes.
Love it.
yeah, my plan was to make a Fury Spectral warrior named Redmon.
Nice.
This guy,
Make sure you get on our realm.
Harad.
Yep. It's,
See what I can do.
No,
super
you-
overpopulated, but we're
Yeah,
gonna
but
have
you're
to
gonna be
round
with
that out.
us because I'm gonna be streaming the whole thing. Like opening night, I'll be streaming with like these guys.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing a lot of cross streaming, group streaming, that sort of thing.
It's my
Yeah.
computer in working order.
I got
Some of us
dude,
work.
motherfucker. I still got
I
Lothia
don't
on
play the
rolling.
WoW,
Okay.
so I'm out.
All right, so this is the big robot. This is the big robot.
Oh, we got
podcast.
that.
Me and
Bryce
Bryce,
wanna
me
get
and you
that
can
out
sit back there and
podcast.
build something cool while they
Let's-
they
No,
wow.
no, we're
Let's
done. We're done.
talk
We're
Metal Gear.
we got we're Metal
Oh,
Gear.
yeah, Metal Gear.
So, anyway, I will set the scene for my Metal Gear experience. I was given a PlayStation 1 for Christmas after playing the original games, but you know, at that age, you don't really get into it. So I get that, and
don't trust
then
you.
I get Metal
Why
Gear
was he
Solid
giving it to him?
and the demo disc that comes with the PS1.
Oh, yeah.
So I pop that Metal Gear in. For the next 2 days straight, I played Metal Gear. My dad was slightly concerned and alarmed, but he couldn't stop watching it either because it's goddamn Metal Gear, and it's like watching a very good action movie while you're playing it.
Oh, yeah.
Even with back then when Solid Snake's face was like 8 pixels or 16 pixels in the first PlayStation. But, oh yeah, so I played through it. I've been a huge fan forever. Played almost all of the games except for Survive because we don't talk about that. And I actually own a Gundam-style model of Metal Gear X. And I am a massive, massive fan of the series. Including to which, when you got to play Guns of the Patriots, and you actually climb in Metal Gear X, when I got to that point in the game, I seriously started cheering in my living room going, fuck yes! Finally!
Right. Well, I mean,
Getting to pilot it and then whoop the shit out of Metal Gear A, highlight of my gaming life.
I remember just being very much looking forward to the Rex reveal when they talked about a railgun. Because when you start talking railgun, I'm on board.
By the way, I'm available for consultation. If you have the money, I'll make that shit happen.
Yeah.
A railgun?
Yes.
Yeah, railgun.
Okay, I figured as much.
Preliminary pricing, why I haven't built one, is about $22,000 for a simple one.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all. That's
Yeah.
that's it, Tony.
Yeah, you know, you get more accuracy than a light 50, so.
Yeah, listen, if you've got some neighbors that have been really causing you problems, then
My
not?
my
Well, that's
actual
way to
goal
go.
is to shoot a beer from my house to my buddy Chuck's house, which is about a mile away, with a railgun and just say heads up on a radio and just catcher's mitt, beer with railgun. We have the batteries. I have the technology. It's just a matter of laziness and money.
well, then all we need then is the bipedal robot to attach it to, right?
I figure if I make the railgun, someone will fund me to build the robot.
All right, let's we're about an
We're
hour-
going off on a tangent.
No, you're fine. I'm going with that. Just we're about an hour and 40 minutes into this thing. I want
Is
to
that
run.
all?
Yeah, that's all. Which are 3-hour casts are just as like it's just for this thing here. It's like.
There's a lot of passion in this subject.
There's a lot of
There is.
info flowing around here.
Let me
too,
go ahead
so-
and ask everybody if you could pilot. Now, as everyone knows, everyone's favorite is. Like, what do you think the most practical to-date robot that we've spoken about actually is?
Now, define practicality. Do you mean for battlefield utilization? Do you mean for anime-style fighting? I mean,
No.
because there's a serious difference there.
And then I'm saying in this day and age, like right now in your daily life, what do you think the most practical? Like, if you're going to go do something, like which one would you prefer? Because I'm leaning towards whatever Don brought at this point.
Do you want my flashcards?
No, thank you.
You want to look through and see what catches your eye?
I mean, which
Probably
one do you
take the
think
thin
we're?
of those.
I would have to say we're closest to building like one of those. Like, there's no way we're gonna get like any of the magical, crazy ones. Gurren Lagann's way out of the fucking.
Yeah.
That's just magic.
Most of those, I don't know how they stand. if you guys actually do watch it, you'll understand what I mean, because even the big ones are 90% a head, and then they have just limbs attached to them. It's essentially if you just there's some Marvel character that looks like this, or DC or
MODOK.
something. There you
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
Where it's just a
big head, little arms.
yeah, that's how the bigger ones are. In fact, they attach to a gunship
We put
that
work in.
it's literally a
Well,
battleship
taking
that
3 at a
walks on
time,
2
so-
legs.
But okay, so let me try this again. If you could have any one of these mechs for your daily life, which one would it be?
Strike freedom.
There we go. Chris starts it off. That's what I'm talking about. Take advantage. All right.
You
strike
can bitch
freedom.
slap a motherfucker with some awesome wings, and you can fly.
I can fly, awesome wings, superior gunfire, and I got 2 swords.
So you're just going for straight violence at this point.
Sure, why not?
Raise your hand if you're shocked.
And they can't see us, so.
Oh, I wasn't supposed to do
You're shocked at yourself?
No, he's shocked that he took over the conversation.
Yeah.
Shocked that I went first.
Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, she wasn't shocked that he went first,
No.
but
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, Rain.
There we go. 2 drums and a cymbal fall off the table. But
I
You never
tried to
said-
do it
you
on
never
my
said what
thighs, but
order,
I never
though.
fit-
sorry.
You never said what order 2 drums and a cymbal fell off. Sprum.
Well,
You never said what order they fell off in.
I didn't specify until I got to the sound effects. And the sound effects, I think, kind of finished the joke. There.
Tony, what about you? If you could have any form of mech in this world, what would it be?
I think I would probably have to go with like the Epion from.
The ability to cut an entire space station orbital weapons platform in half with one strike? Yes.
Oh,
Awesome
fuck
choice.
that. No, turn into a dragon.
That is
It
a-
fills your fantasy.
And-
It fills all your fantasy dreams at that point.
And it also had a version of the Zero system, which was pulled later, of course, for the mobile dolls. But
Which I
yeah.
brought up.
Anyway.
Yet.
yep, exactly. I mean, it did have the Zero system, so it was like really almost the perfect suit.
It just had a really like for some reason it had more of a traumatic pilot than Wing Zero, and that's really hard to do.
He wasn't really
Right, I
antagonist,
mean-
was he?
Trey's Marquis was, or not Trey's like
no, it was Zex who
it was
piloted
Zach's,
it.
Zach's Marquis. My
Trey's
bad.
built it.
Trey's
Zex drove it.
Cushionauta built it. Zach's Marquis was a little
I
fucked up
viewed
in
him
there.
as a guy who was an antagonist that wasn't an antagonist.
But you're saying he had a harder backstory than Hero did because
Yeah.
he found out that he was a peacecraft. He's like, I love war. You're a peacecraft. Shit.
Whoops.
No, he knew the whole time he was a peacecraft.
No, he found out later.
No,
No,
he
he
knew
was
the whole
aware.
time.
No, I thought he found
Yeah.
out
Oh, he
later.
was aware.
No, it was Raylena that found out she was peacecraft.
Oh my bad. I thought it was he who found out he was a peacecraft.
Yeah,
No.
it was Hero's Waffle who found out that she was.
Yeah.
It's Waffle.
I love that
You mean
sleep with it.
Ketra?
His waifu. No, that's the one that can never get it. Never gonna
Oh
get it.
yeah.
All right, Don.
Well, I've got to go back to my favorite. That's the Timberwolf.
The
from
Mad Cat.
Battletech Mech Warrior series, or the Mad Cat, depending on which clan you're representing.
The Wu Tang.
Yes, yeah, the Wu-Tang Clan definitely refers to them as Mad Cats. Well, and as a quick aside, the reason it's known as a Mad Cat is because opposing clans saw it on the battlefield and described it as a combination of the Marauder, which was shortened to MAD as its classification, and the Catapult. So, Mad Cat combination, they call it the Mad Cat. But officially, it's the Timberwolf. I think it's the most balanced fighting mech you're going to find. It's got, as I said before, it's got some long standoff range with missile pods. It's got medium range with the lasers. It's got anti-infantry and small unit defense with up-close machine guns. It looks awesome. I mean, just looking at those shoulder rocket pods, that's a nice setup. Very balanced thing. Heavy armor, but still pretty quick. The only thing that's lacking in its standard variation are jump jets, but I believe there are variations. If you dump the shoulder pods, you can fit some jump jets on there too.
Chad, if you guys are still around, you're not just ghosting me. Go ahead and type in what you guys think here. Also, if you're listening to the podcast, please come to our Facebook page and tell us which ones you would have, and tell us about ones that we may have missed. What about you, Bully?
Oh, I'm going full Metal Gear Rex on this one. As much as I would love the Zero for all of its psychosis and utterly unbelievable firepower that it has, if we're going to talk practical applications on the battlefield, the Metal Gear Rex is the shit unless you have a ninja with a plasma cannon attached to its arm attacking you, and then basically Kurt Russell with a Stinger missile launcher going after you. Plus, can we not forget the fact that Metal Gear Rex actually has a cock fucking plasma laser? If you come too close to that, it just goes "Meow, meow," and will slice you.
Well, and let's also not forget that of all of the mechs we've mentioned, that's the one with nuclear weapons.
Exactly.
You can level a
Undetectable
country with
launch
that. Right.
nuclear weapons.
That Rex was my second choice.
Rex is always the first
The
choice.
Strike Freedom is powered by nuclear power.
Okay,
Powered
but
by it.
can I be the one to say this because I have very strong feelings
Please.
towards Metal Gear Rex because I love the Metal Gear series, like I do. I mean, I feel like I'm part of the minority that loved Phantom Pain
I can feel your boner.
I enjoyed Phantom Pain a great
But-
deal.
What? Wait, can we back up a second?
Wait, an army dude just told you he felt your boner, Tony.
Through
Not the first time.
internet. That's impressive.
Not the first time.
So, anyway, my problem with this is Metal Gear Solid is a terrible mech game. Your hardest boss isn't even the mech, it's the asthmatic, floating, like, disabled person that you fight halfway through.
I
No,
didn't
that's
find
not
him
wrong.
that challenging.
All you gotta do is put your controller in the other slot.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when
Once
your
you
girlfriend's
figure that
fucking
out-
upset her on that time of the month. You just put
Right.
it in the other port.
Right, exactly.
Right. But
Now maybe this is me just not.
When you see the
misremembering.
guy in all leather with a gas mask, you should know to go for the other port. I'm
Heard.
just saying.
Now,
Seeing
maybe
that's
this
where
is
it went
me
wrong with my
misremembering
whole
the
military
game.
career.
I distinctly
That's
remember.
why you never got
being able
promoted.
I distinctly remember being able to beat that fight without doing the controller port switch. Now, someone will correct me, I'm sure, and tell me that's impossible. And then
No, it can be done, but
It's just really hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the first time I beat that Psycho Mantis fight. I didn't use the controller port switch.
Well, aren't you just the cool kid?
I like to think so.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Hey, I'm the
None
coolest,
of-
I'm the coolest kid in my mirror at home. All right.
none of us are the cool kid, and that is why we are here.
That is absolutely sad.
I don't know if we should actually say he wasn't the cool kid.
Well, I mean, if you look at life right now, we are technically the cool kids because we get to yell at people and tell them they're stupid for what they think.
Yeah, work doesn't like that when I do that.
Oh, I get to do that all the time at work. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
we are the coolest kids in this basement. Well, most of us are.
I'm the coolest kid in the school. No, we're not. I know.
I got this beer.
What about you, Bird? Everything we talked about tonight, which mech would you want?
Jaguar Zoid.
Why?
Props for Zoids.
Right?
Wow.
It had the best in the game. It had the best guns you could attach to it, so it did the most damage, and it had higher speed, so it went first, and it had better evasion than most of the other Zoids, so it didn't get hit as much.
So he had high initiative.
Yeah, and very nimble. See, a lot of this is making sense for why you choose it.
Makes sense.
He's got some dexterity to it.
And I like the
Exactly.
color options you could paint it. Oh,
It's pretty.
I liked the color options you could go for with it.
Yes, when it comes in baby girl pink, you know, Bird loves it.
Oh.
I like the black one.
Can we say that?
Raise your hand if you're surprised.
Let's see here.
I raise a beer?
I've been thinking about that, and I'm trying to think about this whole time. I have to go with the Batmech from the Batman Brave and the Bold. Why? Because that some bitch was also his car. So
Hey, there's some merit in that.
I get an awesome car that Bullhammer gets to work on, and I get a mech in the long run.
Right? There you go.
And that
If your car turns into a transformer, I will work on that bitch for free.
oh shit!
that goes for everyone listening too.
All right,
If you get me a car that actually will transform into a giant robot, you get free service for life. Because I've been trying.
and he's
to
not just talking about fixing your radiator. He'll definitely go for. He'll definitely touch your tubes. He'll give you a free lube job.
Work the tailpipe.
Wax
Exactly.
tire.
Dude, I'll go in through the tailpipe and fix the engine. I'll be that proctologist. At
I
that
need an
point,
adult.
I am an adult.
No, you're not.
Well,
And oh my god, I think Kyle turned. Nope. The Team 4-star reference is still up. The bar's up there. I got to put $1 in at some point.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it's a
Welcome to my cast. We used to have somebody who used to do that a lot, so it's up there, and now you have to PayPal me $1 so I can put it in the bucket.
I owe you nothing.
Saw it coming.
We have a
I know how we can settle this. Giant robot fight.
All right.
Giant robot fight.
to
There
the
we go.
garage.
To the garage. That's where the
The
weightlifting's at.
Batbot versus
No, my
Epion.
garage. That's where the toys are.
6 weeks. You bring your robot. We'll bring ours.
Oh, jeez.
How about I just bring a bottle of bourbon?
That works.
I'll
too.
take it. Come to my New Year's party. We'll see how it goes. But other than that, does anybody have anything else they want to tack on?
I have the almost mecha anime
Shoot.
that I would like to throw in there. that was like surprise awesomeness, which was Outlaw Star.
Oh.
Spaceships! Holy fuck, they got arms! Oh fuck, they're punching each other! This is cool as fuck!
Outlaw Star was not surprisingly cool. That shit was just cool.
Oh yeah,
Let's just get
Right.
that out of the fucking
It's
way.
so cool. I
Yeah.
actually use it as a gamer tag name.
Yes, you
I
do.
plan on doing a Gene Starwind cosplay at one point in my
We
life.
talked about that in your garage. That was awesome. Like, I mean, Outlaw Star is a fucking phenomenal story.
I have enough scars to pull it off, so.
I mean, I say go for it. I mean, it's a fantastic freaking story. It was really fun, especially with the weird engine girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
that got a little awkward.
She wasn't the engine, she was the navigation system.
Then they were definitely
Yeah, I was about
lost.
to say Cortana. Yeah,
Yeah, she was. He tried to bone his fucking GPS system.
like Master
But
Chief.
who doesn't?
Haven't we all?
Right.
Yeah.
Not
It's
really.
the only woman that talks to me these days.
That's your own fault.
yeah. Well, that and my Google Home, but she's getting, very cold shoulder lately.
Getting pissy for cheating on her with
Down in
Alexa.
the words of Steel Panther, you need to lower the bar.
He has, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And still.
And that's all my insults for this evening, I
Right.
think. Anybody else want to tack anything on here before we close this
I
up?
do want to give a special mention. I mentioned it earlier towards the start of the show. I want to mention it again. Another show that I highly recommend, and I need to go back and give it a rewatch because it's been 20 years. But Exo Squad, if you like robot fighting, but more like powered suits, and an anime that's way more mature than it had any business being. Very, very dark at times. Very adult themed show that didn't really try and play down too much to a child audience, even though it really was focused around merchandise. They made a great show out of that. It's not talked about a lot. Not many people are familiar with it, or not enough, I don't think. I highly recommend checking it out. I'm gonna give it a rewatch soon. It very, very well done show. Very cool stuff. Definitely make it a check out.
I'm gonna
This
say
is our
that,
last word, so let's go.
I'm gonna say that I'm so happy that we've been able to go through a giant robot podcast without at once mentioning Transformers, and that shows the character of this room. And
Actually,
how we,
Tony mentioned at the very beginning, but when it came to talking about merchandise, I'm mad that we went through this whole time without mentioning Beetleborgs and their giant Zoids.
Boy, that's
Bruce,
there's-
leave your own house.
yeah.
No, it's my house. I freaking
That's
love
why he
Beetleborgs.
said leave your
at
own
the
house.
same point,
I'm not going anywhere. I love Beetleborgs. Let's get that out of the fucking way.
Beetleborgs is good, but
No.
I think they're- no.
Robots
You
are,
shut the
like,
fuck
they were
up.
not
That was
good.
awesome. Beetleborgs was.
I have watched no.
I have watched no. God.
I've watched no.
I have watched every season of Power Rangers to date, and went back and rewatched VR Troopers, and I went into 2 episodes of Beetleborgs on Netflix and went, "No, this isn't for me."
You
What
also
about
you
Sentai
all
Force?
hold on. You also live in North Dakota, so that's your fucking problem.
What about
That
Sentai
should
Force?
tell you. That should tell you how terrible Beetleborgs is. Like I look at 2 things a year: snow and prairie.
And
if you live in
Beetleborgs.
North Dakota and think something is too boring for you, holy fuck, it is bad.
That's a strong.
no. He lives in North Dakota and actually likes staying there. That's his horrible
I used to live in Wyoming. There's not a lot of options for entertainment. If-
No.
Garfield, Wyoming doesn't exist.
Oh, it does. They just have one area code. The only good thing to come out of that state was my hearse.
There you go.
So,
Only thing to come in that state was you. And,
Oh.
and whatever her name was.
Right.
So-
unfortunately, no. I just got my
You think he
ass
stuck
whooped in
you
that
think he
state too
stuck
much.
around long enough for her to finish?
no, still enough for him to finish.
Right.
So go ahead.
I got no response to that. You shut me up for once.
Go ahead, Chris. Last final words. Anyone
Back
who
to
has to
video
listen to this shit.
Right.
Doubling back to video games real quick. I honestly did enjoy the Dynasty Warriors Gundam series. Although, and
fun.
they was really fun. I liked the conversions of that metaverse and how they did it. Yeah, I'm still using that word.
No, as long as you loved hack and slash games,
Yes.
it was phenomenal. That
it
was the
was.
thing. You have to like hack and slash games,
And I
and we grew up on fucking on Dynasty Warriors in general, so that was just fun. To add robots to that theory was amazing.
Now, if only they can bring back that series, but add the aspects of the Gundam Breaker where you can create your own Gundam.
That would make for
That
a
mobile
hell of a
game is super fun for building your own Gunpla. The mechanics once you do it are.
Bert?
I'd be very much down for an anime review of Gurren Lagann.
I don't know.
I know you would, and that will happen in our future.
With what you've described, I will just bring beer and we can watch it.
I've asked you for that for Overlord. So, Tony, any final words for
do
this
that, too.
podcast?
Yeah.
All I got is I just wanted to say thank you for letting me jump in halfway through your episode here and give what little value I possibly could to this group.
You provide more
Um,
value than me.
You have as
The-
much value as any one of us.
And all
Me.
while suffering through the Black Plague or whatever you've got.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, right.
Stick on the line before we're done here.
Yeah.
The only thing that I have, and this can just be a simple yes or no, I don't think it requires a lot of debate.
So I'll do it.
But is the Hulkbuster armor technically a mecha?
No, but I will say the God Killer armor version 4 that came from Mars is.
I'll allow it.
I can agree to that.
Newest.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say the whole Hulkbuster counts.
No, the newest version literally brought newest. I have the comic and it's amazing. They were fighting the Celestials, and literally he goes, "I'm calling it down." It's like, "What are you calling down?" Everyone goes, "What the fuck is that?" And literally he called down a giant armor the size of a Celestial. If you know what that is, that's like 100, like fucking huge. I don't know. I don't got the fucking measurements. It's a giant Iron Man armor. Now that was a mecha.
Sounds like a mobile armor.
And that's something else I want to talk about at that point. It was like literally Ghost Rider. Captain America went, "You are the Ghost Rider. Your car," because this was Javi Reyes. Not Javi Reyes. Was there Javi Reyes? No, that was Blue
He
Beetle.
was the one who had the charger.
That was Blue
instead of
Beetle,
the
right?
motorcycle, right?
That
Yeah,
was Blue-
Jaime Reyes is
I
Blue
said
Beetle
he
there,
was-
bud. You're
yeah.
mixing your mellow and your
I
chill.
do that a lot, but which one? Who's the new Ghost Rider? I can remember his name.
Danny something.
There's not a Mexican guy, and I feel horrible for not. I feel mixed up his names.
I can't remember.
Captain America told him, "You are much more than your car." So he hopped inside of a dead Celestial's like head, and then took over that and became a god.
Okay, see, that's definitely a mecha. Like,
That's like so. Those mechas, like those two, are on par with me at that point. That was pretty cool. Like that to me, that is.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fucking fantastic question. You got to come back for our Marvel conversations. Which, if you haven't watched The Boys yet, Tony, I want to invite you to watch The Boys on Amazon and come back.
Just watch the fucking boys. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
well, I planned on just watching it this weekend if I can plow through. I picked up the complete series Gargoyles last weekend, so
No, no,
kind
no,
of
watch
I way
The
through
Boys.
that right now.
What-
But
Does the gargoyles come with the fucking the drunk episode? Where
I'm
oh my god, I
pretty
got drunk and killed my friend because I shot him.
I
just.
think so. The one where Lexington gets drunk and accidentally shoots Brooklyn.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Yeah.
but go-
that show.
I love that show.
That show was
it went
fantastic.
some places.
But we're not going to talk about that right now. That's a
No.
topic for another cast.
Add it to the list. That's,
Oh.
that's like 6 months down the line.
Put it on a shirt.
I need a roll. I need someone who's sober to start writing this shit down.
Right.
No, you just need to listen to our podcast sober, which I know it's a lot of time out of your day. So
It really is. But yeah, no, come back and I'll talk to you when we want to talk about like things like that, and I'll also get you involved in our horrible movie tournament.
Oh, I've got ammunition.
No.
I
We
want-
have the horrible movies. You just gotta defend yours and
Oh,
why
God.
it was
The hardest
worse.
part is watching the movie.
That is really
Don't
is
do that
it.
again.
We love doing that part. I guess I'll end up with that one. So I want to do the anime movie or the anime club again, and I wanted to bring up something that everyone could love, and everyone that does love it, and anyone I've ever shown it to actually does enjoy, and come back in a month because in less than about a month and a half, season 4 comes out. It is My Hero Academia. We didn't really get a chance to throw that in here on the last one, and I just want to tack that in at the end. Go on Hulu. If you have Hulu, go watch it. If you have other ways of watching it, find your illegal ways. I'm not going to promote them in any which way, shape, or form, but I will say go watch them. Bullheimer, you have something to say?
yes, you mentioned My Hero. Bruce showed me 2 fights from this entire series, and then I came back to him 3 days later and said, I've watched all of it, and he goes, "What?"
No. I was like, wow. He was messaging me at work, telling me he was watching like where he's at. He said at work, and
I work for the government. I have some free time occasionally.
you know what it was like, Tony.
Yeah.
But yes, I highly recommend it. It is a very good
But that'll
series.
be the thing. I want to do an entire episode just on that before the next season comes out, which means I get to watch it all again because Bird here has not finished season 3 yet. And I understand we talked about it, but we will go through it, you and me, okay? We will work through it, buddy. I'm here for you.
Apparently it's a problem.
But I want to talk about that, and like, even if Don wants to come over and watch it with us some point, it's a fantastic series. I don't know how many people are actually going to get to this here, so they'll be really confused when I bring it up. So I'm going to put it on the fucking Facebook page as well. Like, and
That's assuming most of the audience hasn't seen it yet.
even if they have, go back and rewatch it. It is such a fantastic series. It's one of the family, like with my family, with me, Ryan, and Kayla. It's what introduced my daughter to weekly episodic episodes, and it was a series, excuse me, which was amazing because she sat down. She's like, "Next one," and I'm like, "There is no next one." What do you mean? I'm like, "Netflix has ruined you." That's what I mean. And she goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "The next one doesn't come out till next week." She goes, "Why?" I'm like, "Because they're still making it."
That's how TV works.
That's how TVs works. And she goes, "You had to wait till a specific time?" I'm like, "Yes, child." And she goes,
Spoiled with these full season dumps on
Back when we
Netflix.
didn't
I know.
have internet.
"Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
have the internet to
child,
watch
come
this
sit
at
next
this
to your
point."
father, and I will tell you the days of Blockbuster Video.
Remember, my daughter's 11, so she's now
I didn't
getting
even get
used
the
to it.
Blockbuster. I got the Midtown Video, our local video operation.
Hollywood, what's good?
They had 3 locations. You know how hard it was to get a game there? They had 1 copy between 3 goddamn stores.
I never saw Hollywood after that, but I will say the mechs are amazing. If you love just giant ridiculousness, please go back and get them. But for the next cast, I will have Kyle back as well, and anybody who's watched The Boys and wants to come on and talk. I'll have Tony back, and if he can at the same time,
I at least need 2
we
days.
probably
and I'll
won't
watch
do
all
it
the
next
boys.
Friday. We probably won't do it next Friday. Probably next
that sounded
Thursday, if
wrong.
anything.
'Cause Friday again.
Friday, I have a giant party. Woo! So for the people that are watching this on the cast, they're watching this live. This will be next Thursday, the 29th. And then for people who are listening to this on Google Play and iTunes, whenever the hell they want to, and we'll be talking about The Boys and where the MCU goes next after what's going on with Spider-Man.
Homeless.
For everyone here, this is Bruce War Chief Hoover.
And Chris, the Mecha Enforcer Vasquez.
And I guess here I can say here, I will go ahead and say just go down the line and just introduce yourselves one more time. Just say your name.
Chris Bird Danielson.
Andrew Bullheimer, Hammer, whatever the fuck you want to call me.
The Bully Hammer.
You're the bully.
The Bully or the Hammer.
The Bully Hammer.
Yeah, the Bullhammer. And myself, Don Conis Macaluso, also on Twitch and Twitter at ConisSmash.
I thought there was an R there. I'm sorry. And Tony, I want to thank you again for everything.
Yep, thanks for letting me come in and talk with all you guys.
Tony
Good time.
Tony Freed, everyone from North Dakota. Yeah. And we will see you guys next time.
If you need a deal on a wood chipper, let me know.
Mega Force activate.